it is your show, so I think you're gonna have to
start us
chime us in, yeah.
All right.
So, all right, well, welcome everybody to Next Stage Podcast. Welcome back, if you've been back, or if you've been here before. If you haven't, you're just welcome. We have a very special guest here. Not only is he my brother, but he's from L.A.
Los Angeles.
And what day is today? I think
believe...
there's something tells me this is like a special day.
Yeah.
I can't remember
why. I put a hat on so that it would remind me, and then I just forgot.
Oh, you should have tied a string around your finger.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Because that works better.
Wait, string around a finger, string around a present.
You're losing me, man.
Yeah.
You're leaving too many jokes on the table here. I can't
Must
pick
be
them all
St. Patrick's Day.
I think that's what it is. But anyway, before we get started, there's something that you got to do. So, I don't know if you've ever heard of this thing before, but this is called a triangle.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody told me you might be like musically inclined a little bit, so maybe I don't have to explain this to you. Maybe you've heard of it.
I've seen one or two in my travels.
Okay, so you're familiar. I mean, not just with the shape, but with what it does.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mostly with the shape, but I think I've seen that before.
And so to start off this show, we usually do a little chime to chime ourselves in. So if you think you got the hang of it, I don't know if you want to do a few practice.
I think I can.
Think you can? You
Might
sure?
take a couple practice.
There's one too many.
Oh shit! Well, let's just.
There we go. And we are in. So, for those of you who don't know, he's got other chimes here. He's getting ahead of himself.
Sorry, you're a little fancy.
So for our listeners, this is my brother Jake.
Hello, everybody.
He's here from L.A. visiting for the holiday
Correct.
season, holiday week, whatever. And he's also a musician as well. And he's been out in L.A. for, 6 years now?
It was 6 years in October.
6 years October. And he's been playing music out there and pursuing his passion and dreams with that. So he knows him better than I know him. And he knows him better than you.
I wouldn't be so sure about that.
We'll establish that over the course of this talk.
Yeah.
So I'm going to let him introduce a little bit of what's going on with him, how he got out there to L.A. and got started with music out there. Maybe how you first came out to L.A. and what inspired you to go out there. And
yeah, I mean, should I just start from the beginning?
That's a very good place to start. You know, when you read, you begin with A, B, C. When you sing, you begin with I don't know, something it's like a buck and a
deer.
Yeah.
So it actually, I mean, the real start was, I guess, here in Connecticut. I had played like a couple, I guess, I mean, the real first time I ever performed music was at like my high school talent shows in Danbury. So I guess that technically is a start.
As much of a start as anyone can hope to have.
Yeah, so I guess
high school talent shows, that's where dreams are made.
Yeah.
Some dreams come true.
Oh,
Wasn't there was an incident at the high school talent show.
If we're going to go there, we should probably tell the story.
We should probably really go there and make sure that we get that.
Oh my God, that was
maybe get like a little bit closer to
okay.
Maybe we can move this to you a little bit. Yeah.
Scooch it over.
I just want to make sure it's picking you up.
Yeah, it's funny. Every once in a while I think about that. I'm like, man, is that really like is that why I decided to pursue music? Because of that, like I had a rock and roll moment early on in my music, and I was like,
got you inspired.
Yeah, it got me hooked. I was playing it must have been my senior year at Immaculate High School.
Sorry, everybody, just a little housekeeping. I got to back this up. Our producer, my partner in crime, Jesse, is deathly sick today.
Shame on you, Jesse, for missing
that's why
this.
I'm going and fiddling with things, because I'm making sure levels are okay. So if you see me poke out a camera, it's not because I'm being awkward, because it's my brother and I want to avoid his bad breath.
And
it's because we're doing our best. But hopefully Jesse's well by the time this actually gets released and comes out. But we'll do the right thing and say, we hope you get better soon, Jesse.
But also no excuse, and you should be here right now, Jesse.
A little hard Christmas guilt for you. I mean, we only spent, the past month talking about this.
Yeah, I've only been waiting for this and excited to see him. No biggie.
So back to what was going on. High school talent show.
Yeah.
There was some rock star moment that happened there.
Ridiculous. And it hasn't happened since. My first moment was that was my first time ever playing in a band. And that was the only time this has ever happened.
And what were you playing? The triangle in the band?
Yeah, I was playing the triangle in the band.
Yeah, the triangles.
I was playing electric guitar, and I don't think I'd played electric guitar like very few times in my life, and this was like the most thrown together last minute thing where I had a friend who really wanted to sing "Sweet Child of Mine," and so he just like the only people that he knew, basically, I'm assuming, that could play the different instruments.
You're assuming he knew them, or you're assuming they're the only people he knew?
I'm assuming they were the only people that he knew that played instruments that he needed. He had one friend that played bass. He knew me that I played guitar, and he had a friend that played drums. So he just like asked each of us if we would play the song, learn the song. And
will you guys be my band?
Right. And we were like, sure, yeah. Like, we didn't know. And we had like one practice. None of us had ever, I don't think any of us had ever played in a band before. They might have had like a little friend band or something, but I had never played in a band. So I had zero experience, and he was like, hey, will you learn this song and come play it for the talent show? I was like, yeah, I'll learn it. And so we had one practice, and I don't even think it was very long. So by no means were we a tight unit as a band.
So you high school kids for the talent show weren't like well rehearsed.
No.
I mean, that's unforgivable.
Yeah,
man.
Yeah. So
it's just an unheard of scenario. Yeah. I can't believe like they had the audacity.
I can't imagine how it sounded, but we got together. We practiced
the night of the show.
So we practiced song. I showed up the night of the show. We showed up, and right before we were like an hour before we were gonna be going on, they said, "Oh, by the way, we're gonna put a break in the song for you to play like the guitar solo." I'm like, the guitar solo from "Sweet Child of Mine."
Yeah. Luckily, I've been mastering that in my spare time.
Yeah. So I like before the talent show was like trying to remember like the general guitar solo before it gets to the crazy shred part.
Yeah.
But I was like, I'll just do the do 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 do. I was like trying to figure that part out, and I was like, yeah, I guess I'll try and pull this out of my ass and do the solo. So
good thing they didn't do November Rain.
Yeah,
then you would have been really in trouble.
So we
you need a lighthouse and some like extreme like weather scenarios.
Yeah, we need some fans blowing and so to preface it, the first band that went on before us, they did Slither by Velvet Revolver, and these guys were like completely crushing it. Like they all sounded amazing. They had like the guitar player had like a white like Zakk Wylde guitar.
So are you saying Velvet Revolver is better than Guns N' Roses?
No,
maybe they made the right choice with Scott Weiland over Axl?
I'm saying that
this high school talent show band was just better.
The guys just had.
This is kind of interesting, the GNR connection.
I know.
There.
Actually, I didn't even think about that until now.
That's what I'm here for.
Right. Good job. So they were like clearly had been like practicing this for who knows how long leading up to this, and they like their guitar player.
This wasn't their first talent show.
No, or I don't know. But
maybe some rodeos in between.
The dude had like the white and black like Zakk Wylde guitar, and like knew every note for note, every solo, everything, and they came on and just like and we're just like, oh my god, we're sitting there like in the wings, just like. We had one practice.
Now, how is this leading up to your rock star moment? I don't get this here. This just seems like you're about to get owned.
Sorry.
Here.
So they completely like crushed it, and we had to go on immediately after them.
Yeah. Better follow that, guys.
Right. Exactly. And they were playing.
This is our talent show.
The guy was playing bass behind his head, and the singer was putting his fingers on the fretboard and like playing the bass notes during the song. It was like they might as well have been like throwing the guitars in the air.
Blue
like,
Man Group.
It was ridiculous. They were pulling out all the stops, and so we were like the schlubs who like wandered on after them, and we're like looking at each other like, what the hell are we doing up here? And we started playing the song, whatever. I'm sure it sounded horrible, and we're it's fine though, we're having fun. It was almost like, oh look, like this is actually like a good time, like we're on band, we're on stage, there's people watching, I'm like looking over at them. I was like, this is like a cool experience. And then I don't even remember. I think I tried to do the solo. It probably sounded like in Guitar Hero when you hit the wrong notes and just like and then like probably 3/4 of the way through the song, all of a sudden I like something like flashes in front of my eyes. Like I was like, what the hell? Like something almost hit me in the face. And I like didn't know what it was. And then I like turned and looked, and hanging off of the end of my guitar, like the head of my guitar, completely dangling straight down was a bra hanging like the clasp must have got
barely caught on.
Yeah, caught onto the end of the guitar, and there's a full bra hanging straight down off of the end of my guitar. And I like turn and look at it, and then I'm looking and I'm facing like the entire audience of like a Catholic high school. And I just burst out laughing. I'm like,
now was it the priest who threw it?
yeah. Oh my god. So, I'm like laughing hysterically. I just kind of quickly just like turned around and then just like hooked it off real quick and then kept playing. And
now, a real rock star would have just taken it and put it on stage.
This was
you had a lot to learn. You hadn't been to LA yet.
I hadn't gotten there yet, so I just was like, oh my god, I can't believe this is happening. This is ridiculous.
Bra on the guitar.
Yeah.
And you were hooked.
I was hooked ever
no pun
since.
intended. Actually, every pun intended. I'm going to give myself
Oh, yeah, you deserve that one.
I haven't mastered that yet.
Yeah, it's like a little, yeah.
So that's what
So that moment was definitely like that was like a defining, memorable moment of like my first time playing in a band, first time playing on stage in front of people. If I found out that it was a girl in my class actually took her bra off during like side stage in the wings of the stage, and like took it off while we were playing and threw it, and it happened to land. Like it wasn't.
Was
like,
she performing that night too?
I think so. Yeah, I don't know if she was performing that night or she was maybe like helping out in the wings or what. But it was like it wasn't like someone was pranking me. It was like a girl took her bra off and
and you said, "Forget it, I'm in."
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah.
Okay, so how long?
So fast forward. That was just a kind of little anecdote.
Well,
but
this would get you excited about the world of rock and roll.
Right. So after that, it was just me playing acoustic and stuff at house parties and just for fun.
I think there's a little bit of a prop over here. So casually placed.
Yeah. Well, this is only for the viewers, I guess, not the listeners.
The viewers, the listeners, you're not going to see this, but we have here his first acoustic guitar ever. It is a beat-up Ibanez that has many beverage stains, a broken string.
It's been left out in
rainstorms. It looks like you wore down quite a few picks here based on the red scuffing above the above the pick guard here. Maybe someone shot it with a BB gun there. I don't know what happened there. There's a tooth mark or something.
Yeah, must
have smacked an unruly fan.
I got this probably my, I don't know, freshman or sophomore year of high school.
So that was your first guitar ever, and that was from East Coast, right? There was some kind of like it was like buy one get one 50% off deal or something. And I think our older brother Ian got a guitar.
It was John Bunt.
Oh, John Bunt. Ooh, John Bunt.
Shout out to John Bunt if he's listening.
Yeah, he was out not to steal your spotlight, but my first band involved him in high school. But anyway, so he was going to get a guitar. And there was a buy one get one.
He hit me up. He was like, "Hey man, there's this place. The East Coast is doing like a buy one get one half off sale." He was like, "If I wanted to get a guitar."
And for those of you who don't know, East Coast Music Mall was a big like guitar music shop. It used to be in Danbury, near the lake by that rock that looks like a dog.
Over by
if anybody knows what that is, by Canoa Lake. But they built a lot of crazy guitars. There was two guys who owned it, and then one of them split off. But in any event, so that was like the place to go because it was just walls of guitars. Yeah. So he called you up about going there.
Yeah, and was like, "Hey, they're doing this deal, and so like if we just like split the cost," he's like, "I'll get one, we can get two for like around the same price, and then we can just split the difference or whatever, so like we'll both get a deal." And I was like, "Yeah man, sweet." So I think it was like a $200 guitar I got for $150, something like that. And that was my first guitar, and that went with me through high school to all the house parties and campfires in the woods, through college and frat parties and playing all over the place.
So at that point, what were you playing? What were you getting into? What was musically where you were inspired? I
mean, I was just playing like what kind of bands and stuff.
Oh, what did you want to play? Like when you had that acoustic, like what did you want to play? I mean,
that was when I first got that. It was like almost exclusively like John Mayer and Dave Matthews and Jack Johnson. I was like super into that acoustic kind of scene. That was like the first John Mayer album had come out, and like it was probably like within the first 3 Dave Matthews albums, and like the first probably 2 Jack Johnson albums had been out at that point. So I was just like after school every day was just in front of the computer. You had taught me how to read tabs, and I just sat in front of the computer for hours after school every day, just like trying, which was, looking back on it, I was like, John Mayer and Dave Matthews were like some of the most complex songs to be learning straight off the bat. And
yeah,
I was like,
Dave
man,
has a weird way of
Totally.
making chords, and he plays these
Yeah.
funky chords that almost just like, did he know these because he studied, or he's just making up things
Yeah,
that sound good?
totally.
And then John Mayer clearly has a lot of training in
jazz
this.
and all this kind of crazy chord structures. And I just like
So
assumed...
you're coming into a very difficult acoustic
Yeah.
world.
And I just thought
no
that's...
brown-eyed girl for you.
No, I thought that's how guitar was played. I thought that's how like guitar worked. I was like, oh, it's like these are like, I thought that was just normal.
Yeah.
So, and then I was like, I just thought that's how guitar worked. And then like later on, I started like looking up other songs and finding like, oh, just like EAG. That's, So I kind of start off with a big challenge, but I loved it because I didn't have any aspirations. I just loved learning. And so even though they were hard, it was a challenge.
Yeah. And now you started with a piano, keyboard at first. Was there anything about that helped you with the guitar, or was it kind of non-related?
I think definitely. I mean, it's hard to say for sure, but I definitely feel like it gave me an advantage when I switched over to guitar. I already knew how to like use both of my hands simultaneously doing different things. The left and the right operating.
What about hearing wise, like picking up a pitch, whether the thing was in tune or not? And
definitely. I think all of that. I think the bass...
Because keys, you're playing a perfectly in tune instrument. It's not even a piano that has to be tuned. It's like dead on.
And I think that helped for singing too. I think it helped me hear notes that I was singing. I would kind of have had a better ear.
Were you singing right off, or did you learn guitar first?
No, I was singing and playing almost like right away off the bat. I was singing and playing at the same time just because I wanted to play those songs and sing them.
Like, you wanted to emulate what you were hearing on the record.
So it was like I was definitely learning both at the same time. I wasn't learning guitar first and then eventually bringing singing, and it was like as soon as I had the song down well enough on the guitar that I could start trying to figure out the vocals over it.
Yeah,
it was
good luck with Crash.
Yeah, I remember that being like that was so hard.
It's one of those universal guitar player singer things. Like, have you ever tried to learn Crash by Dave Matthews? Because it's so off based on like what he's plucking and strumming and what the singing. Like that was one of those ones that like I've been slaved over.
Yeah, and
I did myself.
Yeah, and I've been playing that since then. So I've been playing that song for like 16 years or something like that. So now I don't even think about it when I play the song. It's just like second nature. But I remember at the time being like, how the hell am I going to do this?
It's like the goofiest like alien like function to do.
Yeah, it was.
But it's such a compelling song that it makes you want to master it. It's this is going to make every girl love me.
They're
like, wait, this is about a peeping Tom. Like, why does it sound so sweet? Like, Dave, how do you do that?
It's all in the delivery.
Yeah, well, it's like the ultimate creeper song that somehow is also the ultimate seduction song.
Totally.
So maybe that's what he's trying to do. He's like turning around. He's like, you know what? I want to creep on this girl. Maybe I'll just seduce her instead. Yeah. I'll write a ballad about her.
If I make it romantic enough and sing it just the right way.
Since she'll let me watch her through the window.
She won't worry about the fact that I was watching her through the windows.
Or maybe she'll encourage it, hopefully.
But, so yeah, I was learning. That was like the major stuff that I was learning like right off the bat in high school. And then like when I would, and then I just started delving into other bands that I liked. And by the time I got to college, I had like a good basis of like some classic rock songs, a lot of 90s stuff. I loved Third Eye Blind and Coldplay and that kind of stuff too. But I had a good mix of like a good repertoire of songs that like, for college parties.
Yeah.
And OAR and like, a lot of bands that were big at that time.
Was it based on things that you thought other people liked or things that you liked and you thought maybe if I play this, people will dig it too?
Yeah. I mean, it was, I've never, and I still, I'm like, I never really am like the learn all the songs people love. Yeah. I've done some of that for playing, when I was playing restaurant gigs or private parties and stuff. I'm like, all right, well, I can't just indulge myself this entire night.
Yeah.
I got to throw some songs in there that other people will appreciate. So, but no, it was just, I mean, a lot of those bands and songs and stuff were popular at that time, especially in like the college scene. So we'd be, up all night partying, and then 2:00 in the morning, I'd bust out the guitar and start playing, Third Eye Blind and Dave and Jack.
What was the response? Were people digging it, or people like, was it like an Animal House thing where they're bashing your guitar?
It was a complete 50-50. It was a 50-50 split every time. It was like, usually like there was
50-50 mean girls were like cool, guys were like, hey man,
it was
you're creeping on my game.
Yeah, I mean it was like
Dave Matthews outside the window.
Yeah, so it was like it would be like a few, because I was in a fraternity in college, so I would at our parties late night I would bust out the guitar just like because I just wanted to play. It was never like now's my time to get the ladies. It was just like now I'm like feeling good and I want to jam. So
I
like
want to express myself.
Right. So
do it.
So there was like a few brothers in the house that were like into music, and like they would come and like we'd all congregate in the hallway, and I'd be like sitting on the floor in the hallway, and like some of them would come out and they'd all like be singing, and we'd be drunk and
did
just,
anybody else play too or no?
Not really. It was usually me, and then like there was one guy that had a djembe, so sometimes he would bust that out, and actually a lot of times he would come and the two of us would sit like next to each other, and he was a drummer, so he'd play the djembe and I'd play guitar, and we would just like whatever we knew we would play.
Yeah, that's a great accompaniment.
Yeah,
it's like a natural acoustic kind of drum. It's not too loud, and it can
Totally.
There's not too many pieces for the person to get lost in trying to play them all. You're just like, no man, all you got is the rhythm.
There's
give me the one. Just give me the
16 different cymbals and 80 toms. So the two of us would just jam, and we would do it for hours, and we would have a blast. And there'd be girls and some of the brothers, and like we'd get like a crowd of people around, and we would just be just doing song after song until like we're too drunk or just too tired to keep
or ran
going.
out of songs.
Yeah, ran out of songs, and everyone kind of just eventually dispersed, and we'd go to bed, whatever. But like we used to love doing that, and but then there was definitely a good amount of brothers in the house that were just like, dude, every weekend you guys are busting out if I hear Semi-Charmed Life one more time, I'm gonna smash that guitar.
Yeah. Do you think that they really were getting annoyed, or they just felt like they were not getting the same attention and they weren't part of it?
Who knows? I mean, probably a combination. I can imagine it was getting old too. If they're trying to go to sleep at 2 a.m, they hear do 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 do, and they're like,
Groundhog Day
every weekend. That's like just when I'm about to fall asleep. So that was high school. I mean, that was high school. That was college. And then when I got out of college and I moved into Pennsylvania, like I was just in Pennsylvania for a little while, just like that's when I started writing my own songs.
Yeah.
And I
remember seeing some of the videos. You had like a little you put up sheets and made like a little little studio down
there
to
catch the sound. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know if it was just for a backdrop or it was to catch the sound and make it sound less echoey.
Yeah, well, and I didn't know anything about that, so it's like actually it would have been if it would have been better because I wasn't adding any effects. It would have been better if I had left the sheets off because I would have had some natural acoustics to the room. Instead, I was like deadening all the space around me, and then I just had a little like tray table with like my laptop on it, and I started recording acoustic videos of myself playing and putting them on YouTube. I was just playing
some
covers.
Original songs or covers or
it was all covers at that point.
Yeah.
I had just started like dabbling in writing at that point. I like in college a little bit, but I never finished anything. I just like kind of a little bit, but I never finished a song and performed it.
When you started getting into writing songs, like what made you want to write your own songs?
I honestly think it just like happened one day. I think like sometimes, I think anyone who plays guitar, you just pick it up and start noodling sometimes and you're just messing around. And I just, for whatever reason, I remember the first song that I wrote. It was just like, I was like noodling with it and I came up with something that sounded cool to me.
Yeah.
And then I just had this voice in my head I was like imagining myself talking down to myself, and it was almost kind of like when everyone has a positive and negative voice in their head,
like your internal critic.
Yeah, man, internal critic. And it was like that started coming out while I was writing, and I wrote the song, and that was like the first song I had finished, and I was like, oh my god, like this, like in the past I had messed around with it, but I never finished a song before, and I finally finished one, and I was like, whoa, like there's a song.
What did you consider it being finished? Like you had like a verse and a chorus and a bridge or something? Like what was
like I could play it from start to finish. It was an entire,
just a little idea.
Yeah, it wasn't just an idea. It was a fully formed from start to finish song that like could be performed. Yeah. And I was like, whoa, like I just did that. Like there's a song like exists in the universe now that didn't before, and I made it. Right. So it was like this cool accomplishment, and then I could go and like show it to people, and like they might like relate to it, or who knows. Yeah. And so that was like an exciting moment, and like that's when I started writing songs like every once in a while at that time, and that's when I was like, I gotta like start like playing these somewhere or playing songs somewhere. Like I can't just keep sitting in the living room all the time. Right. So I like found a local open mic, and
I gotta get some bras on this guitar, man.
Yeah, right.
No one's throwing bras down here.
I know. They can't get a bra on the guitar. I want to buy myself, and not at least in a cool way. And,
well, you could, but nobody would know about it unless you really wanted them to know about it. In that case, like
that turns into a whole different kind of webcam thing. But so I started playing some open mics and started performing some covers, and I would slip maybe an original, and then this was all like super preliminary stuff, and then all of this really kicked off truly when I moved back to Danbury, and you started bringing me to all the open mics, and I met Quentin. Shout out to Q. And,
yes, Quentin Gelderman, we got to get him on here.
Oh my god!
At some point,
I wish I could.
He's got like a history of everybody.
Yeah,
he's played with every musician in the area.
He's like the main. He's like the hub of every like musician and artist in like the whole area.
Yeah, and incredibly adaptable as a musician himself, because he can play to anybody. I always like surprise him with new songs. If I'm playing a set there, I'd like, hey, I got a new one. Sometimes I'll give him a little bit of hints about like a basic feel, but most of the time I just play. He just watches like a hawk.
Right.
And, like he'll just go on the 1 and 2, and then he'll figure out where you are, and then boom,
Just
he's
knows
got it.
Yeah,
he's very anticipatory.
It got to the point because we were playing together a lot, where he would like, I would write a new song, and then he would anticipate the changes as they were happening, because he just started knowing how I wrote. Right. And he's like, he started understanding my songwriting, and then would just like, he would know the change was coming before I even told, like in this moment. Yeah. I'm like, dude, how did you know that change was coming? And he's like, I know you.
He's got his skill, and not every musician has it, but a lot of good ones do, is watching the person who's leading.
Yeah.
And
he would be like
taking
locked
cues.
on. Yeah.
Taking cues. Maybe that's why his name is Q.
Wait. Well, that's definitely.
Do I really deserve for that one, or was that low hanging fruit?
I don't know.
Low hanging Q. Okay, I'm done. Sorry.
I'm a sucker for cheesy jokes, so that's why I took the liberty to ding that one.
Too bad we don't have a bell, Liberty Bell. Anyway, not enough of those.
All right.
So
now I'm gonna start taking them back. Is there an anti-chime?
The anti-chime. We got to think of what the anti-chime would be. Maybe just kind of like a hiss. Like it's like a psst.
Yeah, right.
That's the anti-chime. So you started. You came back to Connecticut, and you were going to some of the open mics, playing with Quentin.
Yeah.
Playing some of your original songs with him, some covers, and then it was just kind of that experience of being able to do it live. Yeah. Now, what was it like compared to when you played open mics in Pennsylvania, which you did a few at, and to here playing at Widows with Quentin? What did you notice?
Those first ones, I just went to this place. I didn't know anybody. Like, they were nice.
Was it like a hotel lobby?
Yeah, it was. It was like a hotel lobby bar. And I had to drive like a half hour to get there, 40 minutes to get there. And it was like a bunch of mostly like older people. It was just like a really mixed bag of people. There was like some just like, open mics always bring out characters, but this was like, they weren't even like artsy characters. They were just like random dude down the street that's just been playing the song forever and wanted to get out and do it, And like, surprisingly old guy who really loved Counting Crows,
Yeah.
It was like, they were like a super interesting like mix of people, and because it wasn't like a hip place, it was a hotel lobby bar, so it wasn't like the cool artsy bar down the street or like the local hangout. It was like no one's hanging out there.
The only people who were there really wanted to be there.
Yeah. But it was like a surprisingly popular open mic, but it was probably the same as anyone's first open mic experience who doesn't know anyone in the place that they're going to. Yeah. It's nice if you know someone who can bring you and introduce you, which you did for me, but in that situation, it was like I just showed up and was like, "Can I sign up?" And then the host was like, he was friendly and encouraging, but it was like, I would play my song and then like go sit back down and then like maybe have a beer and sometimes talk to a couple people, but not really. Yeah. And it was just like you kind of do your thing and then I would leave. And then like coming into Danbury and doing the Widows open mics and the O'Connors open mics, it was like I felt like I was being like brought into a family. Yeah. Where it was like you already knew everybody, so you had already kind of paved the way. I was just like another version of you showing up, so everyone immediately was just like, "Oh yeah, like here's Scott too is here, like sweet, like we know this guy, like and everyone was super just like,
wait, doesn't he owe me money?
Yeah. So everyone was just like super, gracious and like super inviting and encouraging, and Quentin especially. I mean, he was kind of like the guy that like loved my originals, and I was like, really? Like, this is my first song I ever wrote. He's like, it's a great song. I'm like, come on, and he's like, no, seriously, like, and he would like make me play it when we'd play together. And he's the one that started booking me my own shows, and then like I met other people and I started putting together like band shows through that whole network. And that was, that's when I first played my first like band. It's my band. Like I found the guys, put them together.
How did you meet them all?
Just through that, like one. I mean,
had you like jam with them at open mics and then invite them, or did you like meet them elsewhere and say like, hey, you want to come and be a part of it? Like, it
was initially just people that I had met at the open mics and stuff, and then like I met Jeff Morrow. Shout out Jeff Morrow. I don't know if he's watching these.
Hopefully, we want to get him on too at some point. He's an excellent local producer, composer, musician extraordinaire, and he's somebody we would love to get on here as well, because he's got a lot going on in the music world.
So
and has a lot of experience. But so you met. Did you know Greg first?
Yeah. So it was a weird coincidence that actually his older brother was my college freshman floor mate. Yeah. He lived like 2 doors down from me on my freshman.
Too bad it wasn't 3 doors down.
Yeah, it might have been 4 actually, but
he could have been your Superman.
Yeah, could have been a lot lamer. So his older brother was like one of my like closest college friends, and he happened to live in Brookfield. And so when I moved back, and he was like, yeah, my brother's been like playing music, and we got together, and he started playing bass for my band, and he liked my music. And then he had a friend who played drums. That there was another drummer first that didn't work out, but then he had a friend that played drums who he brought in, and then I had like one of my friends that played guitar. Matt Polito was playing with us, I think at first, and we did a few shows with him, and then this is where it starts getting to the LA thing. There was Joe Luckenbill kind of showed up on the scene, kind of like it seemed like kind of out of nowhere. Like he just like was there one night, and like he was like, everyone was like, who the hell is this dude? Because he was like an incredible guitar player, and just like cool player. Just like kind of had a cool vibe about him and look, and he played guitar super well, and like we were like, where the hell did this guy come from? Like, and he would jam with anyone, and he was always just like super intuitive, great guitar player. And we started inviting him to parties at our house and stuff. I remember he brought over his CD, and we're like, oh my god, this guy has an album.
And he recorded his own albums
and he came from LA, and like it was a super like impressive thing.
That was when we were living in Danbury still, right?
At the Staples Street house.
The Staples Street house.
So it was like, that was like, he was like a very impressive person that we were all like, like really wowed by his like
ability and accomplishments.
Yeah, exactly. And we're like, man, like this guy's like the real deal. And it was a big deal for him to be hanging out with us and playing with us. And so we got to become friends, and then he started playing like lead guitar for me with my band, which was.
Did you guys cover Iron Maiden's "The Trooper"?
Oh my god, yeah! At what was it, the Lumberyard?
Maybe. Yeah. I remember you guys play. I remember hearing you guys practice that song in the basement. Yeah. Like, oh, they're doing "The Trooper."
That was a crazy. Yeah. That was like a crazy undertaking, and it was like the last practice before the show too.
Yeah.
He was like, we should do this, and I was like, oh, I like Iron Maiden, sure. And it was at the Lumberyard.
Okay. And didn't you guys also do something at the Heirloom as well?
Oh,
It might have been like 2 shows close together around that time.
Yeah, that was our first show together. We played at the Heirloom. Like it wasn't even on the stage. They had us like set up in front of the stage on the ground, and it was like someone else I knew was playing a show, and they like asked us to like be in the bill, something like that. And that was actually
Students of the Universe or no?
No. I don't remember who it was.
They played there.
It was like a friend of a friend or something.
Yeah, okay.
Or maybe one of Jeff's friends. But so yeah, we played that was our first gig, and then we only played a few shows.
Yeah.
We played like that one. We played the Lumberyard, which was like a big one. And then I don't even know if we played with that lineup at Widows. We played that show at Fajitas and Margaritas.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And then that was with Students of the Universe.
Okay.
We opened for them. Because I remember the microphone was like it was like there was a faulty wire or something, so the microphone was like shocking my face the whole time I was playing. And I remember being like, I don't know what to do. Like it's like every time I get close to it, it's like shocking my teeth while I'm singing. That
used to happen down here.
Yeah.
And I found out because in band practice, like I kept getting shocked in the mouth, and then I found out that like if your wiring in your house is a certain way, like if you have your PA plugged into one like part of the circuit and your guitar
it's like a circuitry
your guitar
thing
plugged into another one, like it makes a connection between like the microphone and your guitar to the amp, so you're making like a circuit bridge. I don't know what the term is. But,
right.
So I realized I had to plug them all into the same power strip, my guitar amp and my PA, so I wasn't getting shocked in the face.
Yeah, because I remember I got zapped bad at the Staple Street house in the basement. We were having band practice one day, and I was like barefoot in the basement playing my electric.
Sounds like a punk song.
Yeah.
Barefoot in the basement.
Barefoot in the basement.
Barefoot in the basement. Barefoot in the basement.
Probably is. That's a great one. We were in the basement one time practicing, and like I remember we were standing there like talking in between songs, and it felt like someone ran up behind me and just smashed me in the back of the legs with like a baseball bat, and like my legs like buckled, and I was like, "What the hell was that?" And I spun around like looking for someone.
Your assailant,
right? And I was like, I'm like, what just happened? They were like, what? And I was like, did someone just hit me? What happened? And they were like, no. And I was like, and then it clicked.
Must have been a ghost.
No, it just clicked that it was like an electric jolt. And I was like, ugh. I took my guitar off, turned everything off, and I was
People
like,
have died that way.
Yeah, and it scared the hell out of me. But anyway, so yeah, that show, the mic was shocking my mouth and my teeth, and I just like gritted through the whole set. It was like a 45-minute set. I'm just like, all right. I'm just like, I guess this is rock and roll, right? Like I gotta just.
I went from brows to microphone face shocks.
Yeah, I know.
This is not going the way I planned. This is not the trajectory I was promised in high school.
That first experience really set the bar way too high.
Yeah. Now I'm getting electrocuted on stage.
Yeah. Now I'm really putting it into my time.
So then you played a few shows with that band, that different lineup changes, and then
Joe was gonna move back to LA. He had been there for a few years. He came back for a little while and was playing with us, and then he was gonna be heading back. And then the drummer was going off to military school, and then Jeff was going back to college. And I was like, the band's disassembling and evaporating.
Like scattered.
Yeah. So and I was like,
guy's gonna get shocked to death. We're not gonna go anywhere.
Yeah. And so I was like bummed that Joe was leaving and that this whole thing was happening. And I was like, I didn't want to be at my job anymore. Me and my girlfriend had broken up. It was just kind of like a lot of things happened all at the same time. And I was like, I gotta get out of here, Yeah. And Joe was like gonna be driving back to LA, and he had been putting up like posts on Facebook saying he like was looking for one roommate because him and another guy were going to be getting an apartment and they needed one more roommate. And so one day at work, it just kind of like I was sitting there like, man, where am I going to go? Like I can go to Philly, I can go to Boston, like I don't want to live in New York City. I was just like kind of going through my head with the major cities that I could like move to, you know? And all of a sudden I was like, LA. I'm like, wait. I'm like, I've always wanted to live in California. Like, LA is a huge music city. Joe is driving there and needs a roommate. I was like, all of the
boxes are checked.
Yeah, everything seems to be lining up here. And I was just like, am I like allowed to do this? I was like, okay. And I like was kind of had that idea, and I texted, I talked to you and Ian or my brother and my mom about it, and they were like, yeah, you should go for it. And I was like, okay. Yeah. So I talked to him at like the open mic the next night, and he was like, yeah, man, like you can ride in the car with me and we can drive out together and you can stay and I can help you like meet people and you can record there. We're going to have access to a studio, blah, blah. And I was like, sweet.
And next thing you know, in LA. So like, what did you find out by being there that was different from what you experienced in Danbury? Like, what was the LA music thing? Like what happened when did you start on open mics, or did you start with recording with him? Like, what did you do first?
It was weird. I like didn't really do anything at first. It was like we were mostly just working on like recording the songs that I had written at that point. Like we got there and we had the studio
like the
access.
songs that you were playing with the band, or some new things, or
I wrote a couple new ones, but it was mostly the stuff that we had been playing in Connecticut. And our roommate had a studio. Shout out to Ideen. I don't know if he's gonna watch this at some point, but
maybe
my good friend
cool.
Ideen, who's been my roommate multiple times and a good friend and an incredible.
We're trying to graduate towards the West Coast here. With
we gotta get the West Coast listeners.
You better be getting this out to some of those folk. That's very political of me to use the word folk. You only use that when you're trying to persuade people. Yeah. Folks is a very political word, by the way.
Duly noted.
Yeah. In which place?
So we. Where was I at?
Oh, you said you moved out there and you started recording some songs. You didn't really do open mics right away.
No.
Your first year out there was kind of like floundering,
yeah,
figuring
trying to find jobs, trying to stay in LA and figure out however I could to like pay my rent and stuff. And but all the while we were recording those songs.
Any like thoughts that like going out there thinking one way, then getting changed? Like,
oh yeah,
what was it like the anticipation in terms of the payoff?
I mean, because Joe was really
because a lot of people think like, oh, I'm just gonna move out to LA and make it.
That's what I thought.
And like the fairy tale, like that not Blue Velvet, the other David Lynch movie that with. Mulholland Drive.
Oh yeah.
Where I'm gonna make it as an actress out here, and it's like everything goes horribly wrong.
Oh, yeah.
Like, is that like
a
commentary on what people's expectations to LA is?
Totally, because it was. I mean, I had that same like super green mentality where he was like, dude, I think your songs are great, and I think that you could like get somewhere with them, and like I think if you came out with me, it would be like a really good move for you, and I think that you're like a great songwriter and singer, and like you could do something. And I was like, okay, like I believe you. You're like
hey man, you've got the experience.
Yeah, he was the dude that like was the kind of like the big shot to a certain extent to us, you know. And so I was like, yeah, man, if you think that, I'll go with you and I'll give it a try. And so I remember saying, like, if I'm not like already on my way to like massive success or whatever, like within the first year, then I'll call it quits and whatever. Like, I'm gonna, but it shouldn't take more than a year.
yeah, right.
And I was extremely wrong. It was one of those things where I tell people all the time, like, I didn't know how over my head I was in until way later, and it's totally better off if I knew what I'd gotten myself into when I'd gotten myself into it, and at the level of like experience that I had, like I would have been completely overwhelmed, and like I'm sure would have given up, because it was like,
well, that's a cool thing, as what you just said here, because we're in the age where information and research is like such the norm, where like you got the answer in your pocket to anything, and everybody wants to be so sure about something before they do it.
Right.
But that would almost deter you from taking a risk that might actually pay off, because it's going to make you do some really hard work in a situation that if you were to kind of run the numbers, be like, this doesn't seem safe.
Right.
I don't know.
So why even try? Because I already know how it's like I always think of the Star Wars when he's like, never tell me the odds. So it was like I really had my only experience, and it had been that like 1 year of playing around in Danbury at those different open mics and Widows and O'Connor's and those few shows that I played. It really wasn't much, and I had a much like I thought that I was like, oh no, I have enough experience, I've done some stuff, I've done this, like I should be cool, I should be fine.
I know how a microphone works. I know it's just shocky sometimes, and I can tune my guitar, and I got a tuning pedal, so I have to go bing 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 bing.
Listen,
bing, bing.
I've played fajitas and margaritas.
Right. It was not much. It was just like the stages get bigger, and that's it.
Not exactly a small time. But so I moved. I kind of just started like, I don't know why I said moved. I started kind of like...
You probably were moving at some point. I don't think you're just like sedentary. Like
I walked
Stephen
around,
Hawking's did the whole thing.
Yeah, I walked around. I moved my body. So we recorded, and I just started trying to just jam with different people. And like the first night I got to LA, we had a jam at the studio that my roommate had, and it was just like that's kind of one of those moments where they were all just standing around like just casually, just all amazing, and they were just like ripping, and I was just looking around the room like, I'm not jamming with these guys. I'm like, no way.
This isn't jamming.
No.
These guys have clearly practiced, and they just didn't tell me about it.
I was just like watching all these dudes, and I'm like, they're just like so casually just like goofing around, and they're like all incredible, and I was like, no way. I'm like, they're like, dude, you wanna? I'm like, nope. I'm like, nah, man, I'll sit and watch you guys. Maybe I'll get on the mic for a song if I know it, but that's a stretch. So I realized, like, definitely in that moment, I was like, is everyone here like this? Because this is, like, crazy. So, it was a lot of, like, we just were recording there a lot. And Joe was doing all the recording for me. And it was my first time ever recording. So it was, like, for me, it was such an incredible experience, because I was like, I'm hearing my songs come to life. And, like, hearing your first, like, lick in playback is like, whoa. Like, that's me playing a song, and now I'm hearing it. Like, that's nuts,
Well, it's almost like a little bit of the decoding process happens where you consume recorded music and it comes through your headphones or your speakers or your car, wherever you are, and you just accept it and like a flat painting.
Yeah.
It just is the photo that popped out.
Totally. Or
then
movie or anything.
Yeah, but then when you get in and experience like all these pieces were put together and are chosen, just like in a film, you think like, oh, this is just a house, but a director made a choice about every little knick-knack that was on each shelf in that scene, even though it's completely unimportant to the action of the characters. There's a choice made about it all. When you realize that recorded music is so constructed, you're like, wait, that's how this works? Like, oh my goodness, like this is not
every tiny
just
detail.
like these people are magic, but also like, whoa, there's a lot of work to be done here.
Oh yeah. And that was definitely like my first introduction into recorded music, which was like a whole different experience. And I was like, oh man, like my timing sucks, and like I am not a clean player. You know, I've always like relied on my energy and just like passion in the moment at live shows and stuff, where I'm like, I'm just gonna like be really passionate and have a lot of fun, and like people are gonna vibe off of that energy. And then I'm like, it doesn't matter if I fudge a few notes and you whatever, miss a chord, like doesn't, who cares? It's like part of the experience.
I'm still playing that game.
Yeah, I mean, me too. But then when you're in the studio under a microscope, it's like, oh, I gotta like.
You mean under a microphone?
Yeah, right.
I don't know how you record, but I tend to use microphones. Maybe use microscopes. You use light wave frequencies to trigger some sort of MIDI outputs. I don't know what you're doing out there in LA. Well, it's all very sophisticated. I'm sure Elon Musk is involved at this point with his
I use a microscope and one of those dental tools, and I actually scratch into the records all of the.
So you're a real like analog guy, like not one of those nonsense. Oh, we record a tape. Like no, I record straight to vinyl.
Yeah, and I just know
what a hand cut vinyl.
I can just with my fingers, I can just like make the music.
Well, it's just like Beethoven. He was deaf, but he could still write music.
Like the way that people can just write sheet music without even hearing it. They can I can just do that on a record.
Yeah, you just scratch the record straight up, and you're like, okay.
Yeah, here it is. You're welcome. Mm-hmm. I got the drums in there, everything. Yeah, it's all in there.
Well, we'll get to we'll figure out how you got there eventually, but for right now, we got to make sure that we capture a little bit of like the minutia between learn how to play. Now I'm scratching records by hand. Okay, we'll get there later. Hand etched records. So okay, you did some recording. You did some. Oh my goodness, I'm not good enough to be out in LA. You did some open mics or anything?
Yeah.
Or what did you do after that?
I did like a couple here and there. But like nothing too substantial.
What was the feeling that you got playing those compared to when you played in Pennsylvania or Danbury? Were people receptive? Or were they? What was the vibe? No,
people were cool. It was cool. Yeah, like I kind of had to find a lot of this stuff. So I found some random little one-off open mics and stuff like that. They still had a pretty like small like feel to them. It felt like not too much different.
Yeah.
They had their own little communities of people that you could tell that like hung out at that open mic. But it was just they were just a bigger mix of like there's always going to be people that are like not very good, but then you'd hear like a really amazing like folk singer would just randomly play, and then someone else that did like a different style of music, and like they'd be like amazing at that. Like you would just there's a broader like
spectrum to choose
from. Spectrum and the talent, like the highs and the talented people and
entertainment value gap.
The impressive
the EVG for those of you who don't know.
the impressive and better whatever musicians. They were a lot better. It was like, whoa, man, like this person's like sounds like they're straight from like the radio or something. So you're like, okay, like there's still people that aren't good. So like I can still play and not be like the worst, but I'm far from the best. And so it just, I don't know. I never found it super discouraging. I just kind of was like, well, I just gotta work hard. I just gotta get better fast. Because I got that year coming up, and
that year's ticking away.
So
and I'm not on MTV yet. Well, not MTV. That's not even a thing anymore. But
the first few years was just like playing catch up. I was like, I just gotta like.
Oh, you switched from guitar to catch up?
To catch up, yeah. I was just playing a lot of catch up.
I've heard that's a really tough instrument to master. Once there's like a lot of you're very in demand because there's not too many catch up players out there.
Yeah. Well, and Heinz has 47 flavors.
In hindsight, what?
Heinz
Who
has.
knows?
Heinz has 47 types.
No, does he? Well, what's he doing with all of those?
I don't know. Playing the shit out of them. I mean, the stuff out of them.
Yeah. All of the stuff, all the ketchup and mustard and relish and mayonnaise is just coming straight out of those packets onto the vinyl, and you're just etch it into the landscape.
It's a really weird way of playing, but, I like it. So, yeah, it was a few years of just, like, playing with other people. My second year, I moved into a house, and I...
where were you in a cardboard box before?
I was in an apartment.
Maybe like an oil drum?
I was in an apartment. And we moved into like a house where we were able to put like move the studio into the garage, and that's when I started like going in.
I thought you lived in like a little funny like mini house shed thing for a little while, no?
I didn't know. We had one on our property.
So somebody else lived there.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm mixing
things.
You had a citrus tree of some sort.
Yeah, that was the same house.
Okay.
And then eventually our friend Pat moved into the little he called it the patty shack off the back of the house. So I hope Pat listens to this. I'm sure Pat would dig this podcast.
Did he eat the citrus fruit from the trees?
Yeah, I think so. Sometimes there was like oranges and lemons and 10 jellos.
No scurvy in the patty shack.
No, definitely not. Plenty of pirates though. So yeah, shout out to Young Patches who he's actually, you know what? I think he's in Nashville now. He left LA, he moved to New York for a little bit. He went back to New York for a little bit, and then I think now he's in Nashville. But who knows? Maybe he'll do an LA interview or maybe up here.
Yeah.
He lived in the patty shack. And so then I was starting to reach out to musicians. I was finding people through Craigslist and stuff, and started trying to get a band together. I was like, I want to start, I think that was around that time too. I started doing, I was doing like acoustic shows or showcase type things. I remember booking like, there was a House of Blues on the Sunset Strip. It's gone now, but at the time it was there, and I like booked a show at that was a big deal. It was like a ticketed show.
That was you solo or you other? Wow.
Actually, no, that was with a band. I did two different ones there. But I did a couple solo acoustic shows, and then I started getting this band together, and I had a guy on bass and a guy playing drums or percussion. And so we did like an open mic band thing one time, and we didn't really get to play too many shows, but we did the House of Blues thing, and that was like acoustic with a bass player and like a percussion. He was playing like djembe.
Yeah. So still you acoustic guitar.
So that was like, okay, now I'm starting to play like in Hollywood, and it was like, a ticketed event, but it was a pay to play thing. So it, I think I ended up losing out money on it anyway. But pay to play. Pay to play. Yeah. So but it was cool. I was like, I don't really care right now because I'm like playing on the Strip and I'm in LA and I'm playing the Strip, so it's a big deal to me.
Yeah, just to be able to say that. And so the people that you met out there to play with, like, was that again through open mics, or how did you meet these
I met
people?
them. They were just like through Craigslist. I put out a thing on Craigslist. The guy played bass came, and we started jamming on some of my songs. He like really loved them, and he was like super into it. And he's like, "Oh, I got a friend that I'm playing with in another band who plays drums. Like, if you're looking for a drummer," and I was like, "Yeah, like bring him in." Right. So the three of us started playing together, and then I was trying to find lead guitar players. I don't think I was having much luck at that point. So the three of us we were having pretty regular practices, and we started playing some like little things here and there, but no real big shows that I can remember. And then it was just gotten to one of those things where like the guy was kind of like had other things going on. He was in school still. Yeah. He was like kind of flaking more and more.
Conflicting interests.
He was really young. He was like, he was like 18 or something. So he was like just not really in that like super serious mindset yet about, being hyper vigilant about it. He was like getting high with his friends, and he had other things that he was doing that were it wasn't his main focus.
So you went through different like incarnations of bands, and you did some more recording. And now what did you feel about like the progression you were making out there and your expectations of what was going to happen? Like what was it where was that level of frustration in terms of what you thought was going to happen and didn't happen over the years? This is like, we're getting to like 3 years deep at this point.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah. And it was kind of like, I kind of accepted after a certain point. I'm like, this is not going to be as quick and easy as I thought it was going to be. This is going to be a long and arduous process. And like, then I was like, yeah, well, that makes sense. Like, this isn't easy.
It's a long way to the top if you want to rock and roll.
Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah.
I had to do that.
AC/DC. So yeah, it was kind of like, it was kind of digesting that of like, if you really want to do this, you're going to be here for a minute and you're going to put in your time and pay your dues. And there is not going to be any shortcuts or quick way. Like, you got to just practice and write and play, and like, you just like, you got to do the hell out of this all the time until you really do get to that level where you are in competition with the people who are the best.
And now, who are the bands that were there certain types of music that you saw being successful out there, like bands that you would go to see, or people that you're like, oh, here's who I want to aspire to? Like, was there any of that stuff going on where you saw any kind of stars in the galaxy that like, here's a little bit of a roadmap I can try to chase after?
Yeah, like little bits. I had I mean, a huge massive part of my experience and my motivation and just like encouragement and all of that is my best friend in LA, Austin, who I met him like my first year in, and he like showed up at this like acoustic.
Well, give his full name. Give him a little
Austin,
plug.
Sorry, well, I'm calling him Austin, but actually,
people who don't know him don't know what that means.
Well, if you look up Lumen Official on Instagram, his artist name is Lumen, and he is a fantastic artist. He just finished doing a leg of OAR's tour, opening for OAR. And I think he's releasing some new music in the next month or so, and he already has some stuff out on Spotify. So yeah, for a plug for Lumen, definitely check him
you gotta
out.
let people know how to find who we're talking about here.
But secretly on the down low, his name's Austin. It's probably not so secret.
Don't blow up his spot.
But yeah, he walked into this acoustic karaoke thing that I was playing at. I was playing guitar at this weekly acoustic karaoke where.
So you were like playing the background music for people to sing karaoke to.
And I was
doing
that
every live karaoke.
I was doing it down the street at this bar, like right down the street from where I was living at the time. And he like walked in one day with like a little posse, and he had like shiny shoes on and like this whole get up and like the cool brimmed hat. And he just like walked up and was just like, seemed like the most confident dude in the world. Signed up for something he like probably hadn't really ever sang before, and then just like as soon as he opened his mouth, like the whole bar turned and was just like, who the hell is this guy?
Yeah,
and he just blew everyone's socks off, and it was just like, who's this guy? How can I be friends with him?
Now, what about the people who are wearing flip-flops? What happened to them?
Those just evaporated instantly.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Yeah, this didn't
flip-flop evaporation is a common side effect of excellent singing.
Yeah, they didn't stand a chance.
Yeah, that's why they don't. That's why a lot of people wear flip-flops at Jimmy Buffett concerts. Right. They can get away with it.
Yeah, well, it's much more casual music.
Yeah, he doesn't vaporize them on impact.
You don't see flip-flops at a Maiden concert.
No way. You don't die with your flops on.
You just see bare feet because they've already been incinerated. So he was like, I was just completely blown away, and I've never heard anyone sing like that before. I was like, this is the best thing I've ever heard. Like, this is incredible. And he like, I kind of started talking to him when you'd come to those things, and we kind of became friends. And then when I was moving into that house, we needed another roommate, and I asked him just kind of like on a whim. I was like, oh, well, this guy's looking for a place. He just said on Facebook, like, hey, dude, like, you want to move in with us? And he was like, sure. I was like, no way.
It's amazing how these things keep happening so like unexpectedly. It's like, oh, bands, do you want to move to LA? Sure, okay, I need a roommate. Hey, you want to move in with us? Yeah, okay.
And together. It was like we were moving into a situation he was looking for. He was looking for like a room in a house where he could write and practice and record stuff and not worry about neighbors. Like, it was like an ideal situation for him, so it worked out for him, and I was just like pumped to be able to associate with this guy, and so when I met him, that's when things really started progressing for me, because it was like he introduced me to a whole social scene and circle of all these other musicians and artists. He's like a super social guy. He's like that dude that knows everyone, and everyone
did
knows
it
him.
Increase your desire to rise to a higher level?
Totally.
By writing or singing, whatever, maybe did give you that spark of like,
well, he was in his room writing every day, and he was
because there's that phrase people say, oh, if you're the best or smartest or whatever person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Totally.
So
Absolutely.
like you got in a theoretical room with different people. You're like,
Absolutely.
okay,
And
I'm starting at a new lower square.
Right.
You're higher than the other square, but now you're in a new tier that's like, okay, now with the bottom of this totem pole.
Totally. And I like that. I like
Totem pole.
Totally totem poles. But I like being in that position.
Which animal would you be on a totem pole if you could be?
Maybe I don't even know.
I want to be the one that's got like the big weird teeth, and it's like I don't know if it's a hippo or something. But it's like
yeah,
and it's got that weird like mouth.
Yeah, I don't even know if I can even
eyes.
pick out which the animals are. I know there's an eagle in there, but
Just go with that. For the sake of the podcast, we don't have all night, man.
the totem. Hey, man, you asked the totem question.
Your quick-fire totem question did not come quick enough.
So,
much like your success,
right
in LA,
it did not come quick enough.
Zing. I mean,
yeah, we can do a nice one. So, living with him was like, I was just like, all right, this dude knows. He had already had a band that was like, they were like moderately successful, had like songs and music videos, and he had, been on some shows, and like, I was like, this dude is like, he was already like halfway there.
Has been in the industry to some extent.
And he knew it. He knew the stuff. He knew about the industry. He knew, he was a great singer. He was like always writing. He knew all these people. And I was just like, this guy is like a happening dude that is like super talented. And I was like, this is a good person. I was just happy to be like able to just talk to him. And because I lived with him, I got to talk to him and hang out with him every day. And you just like get to know each other, and you just like kind of learn stuff through just like osmosis.
Right.
Just by being around them. He was really encouraging of me. He like liked my songs and like thought I had a good voice, and just kind of like was very encouraging, and like which just it helped me so much because I was like, this guy
throughout your story here of like people at some of the open mics in Pennsylvania being encouraging helped you, and Quentin being encouraging helped you, and then Joe Luck being encouraging helped you moving out there. And it's like that camaraderie of fellow musicians who are doing it like it means everything is important.
100%
to anyone doing it, right?
No, I mean, because that's like there have been times where like some of those people's opinions was the only thing that was keeping me feeling like I was worth anything, and like I should even keep doing it. Because I think a lot of artists usually just think you're so much worse than maybe you are. And so, like, I was always just like, and a lot of times still, I'm like,
what were the things you're most worried about, like, not being good at?
And all of it, I guess.
Well, I mean, take a snapshot maybe in this section where you met Austin and you started going to this other tier. What were the new things that you felt like you had to improve on at that point?
Like I said, I mean, all of it. Like I was like, I need to.
All of it. I thought you meant like you asking me like through all of it. No,
I mean like
all of it.
Yeah, like I got like I'm here. This dude can sing this well. I can't sing that well. I gotta get on my singing game. I gotta become a stronger singer. I need to. This guy is writing almost every day. Like I gotta start writing more. They're like, I can't just like be like laying around not doing anything. Or this person is like he's less of a musician. Like he's not like he can play like a little bit of a lot of instruments, and he can produce, and like he is a great composer. He knows all the notes where they should be and can tell people what he wants them to play. But he can play like guitar and bass and stuff. But he's not like an ace shredder. Yeah, no, he's not like But he can figure out the song in a second, like by just figuring out the notes, and he just has like an incredible ear.
Yeah.
Even though he hasn't like put the time in of just drilling scales and stuff.
Right.
And we related to each other in a lot of ways. So it was like this person that I felt like I had like we shared this common like soul.
Would you say you got to the next stage?
Next stage, I did.
Oh, you got to do that one.
Yes, please. I'll start. The next stage. Oh, I threw in a third one there. Sorry.
This is unprecedented.
Did I go too far?
No, you didn't go far enough.
I'm sorry. Oh yeah, please. There we go. Man, there's so many different noises going on here.
In case you didn't know.
So
we're giving away all our secrets here.
Yeah.
That was a little finger piano for those of you who are just listening.
That was. so he was a big person who was just like influencing me.
Like how big? Like 8 feet?
You know, like I guess not a big person, but his average
Is he
height.
still, or did he reduce himself
Average height.
over
He
time?
shrunk a little.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he was always moving forward and always working, and I was just kind of would look to him as like the example of like, how is he promoting his shows? How is he getting his bands together? What is he doing at his shows? Like, who's he talking to? Where is he hanging out? You know, it was just like, I wasn't as naturally, I'm a social guy, but I wasn't as much as he is. And I was just like, I needed someone to kind of like pull me in to the scene and be like, here, this is Jake, you know? And so, which he did. It was like, you know, he was that guy for me. And was an incredible musician.
So at this point, did you have any a band going, or were you looking for musicians, or were you just writing, or were you doing any recording?
No,
when did you?
I wasn't like during when I was living with him. I wasn't doing I was doing some recording in that studio that we were at our house, but I wasn't. I recorded like a few little things here and there, like nothing that I really finished. And I was playing with that bass player and that drummer, but we didn't get too far until that kind of dissolved. And then around that time I started playing, I had like some friends in my own social circle, and we had been doing the acoustic karaoke and a few things that I started playing guitar for their band. My friends Jack and Atara, who their band Plastic Rhino, shout out to Jack and Atara. And they asked me to play guitar for them. So they had like recordings, and they had
a fully like already going on machine that you could just step into.
They had an EP with, you know, a pressed CD and the, you know, like the whole thing, and they were doing their thing and moving forward, and so they were like had already been booking shows, and so I was able to kind of just like slip in with them and play. You know, I started playing these bigger venues and bigger stages. And
now, what did that do for you to be able to take a back seat from singing and writing all the songs to be able to just play guitar?
I think it was perfect for that time because it was like a way for me to get into these venues and play these maybe bigger spots without being the focus of the show. So it was like I got to kind of experience how it all works, and like the sound checks and the load-ins and the green rooms and like just the whole dynamics of being at a venue like that without it being like my, like, you know, I'm on the spot. You know, it's my music.
You had to go there and hang out and do your little bit, but you weren't in charge of anything.
Yeah, it felt like I was able to kind of like infiltrate a little bit, you know. But it was also a blast because I didn't have to worry so much. It was like if I just played my parts, I was got to be off to the side of the stage and just like rock out and have fun and not be so like worried about it.
Now, what about in terms of your guitar playing? And when you don't have to sing and do both, or did you learn more about guitar playing, or did it change your style? And this would be you're playing electric at this point. You're not doing acoustic anymore. Yeah. And did you learn stuff about that world?
Definitely, it gave me that because I never knew anything about like tone or any like or pedals or like none of that stuff was in my wheelhouse. So that's when I started kind of learning a little bit more about just guitar playing and electric guitars. You know, and what the hell that switch does. Yeah. You know?
What do these knobs do? Why is there multiple channels and knobs on there?
Right. And like what, you know, how does a delay pedal work? You know, and a distortion pedal, and like tone on the guitar, tone on the amp, tone on the pedal. You know, there's all these things you can tinker with and mess with, and I didn't know anything about any of them. Yeah. So that was like when I started learning more about that kind of stuff.
Do you think it goes better to the fact that you didn't have to like try to sing and write songs and do that, and you could just kind of be in that little world and know that, you know, you're not carrying the weight of the show.
Exactly. No, that was huge, and it was so much fun. I genuinely like I could have some beers at the practice and not be like, oh, I'm the one orchestrating this. Yeah. And I could, you know, at the shows, it was like I could just have fun and not be so, you know, stressed out and worried. Like it wasn't. Hey, this isn't my thing. This is your guys' thing.
Yeah, like it might have been more stressful if you were headlining as the singer in one of these big venues, as 100%. Opposed to like I'm just stepping on stage and playing a part and doing my guitar, and so you're not like carrying like the brand.
Right, exactly. And that's like we got to like the most fun I had playing with them was when we played at the Viper Room, and it was like the Viper Room was like a dream of mine to play there. And I like, you know, that was like one of the places when I moved to LA, I was like, oh man, maybe one day I'll play at the Viper Room. And then like we got to play there, and I like it was like such.
So some of your dreams came true
Right.
from
Oh,
LA.
yeah,
huh?
totally. A lot
From
of
starting
them.
back there, and now you're playing the Viper.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, there
All
was
right.
little markers of progress and things that were like, achievements for sure. So the Viper.
Just enough to keep you afloat.
Just enough.
Just a little
every
pinch
time,
of fish food in the bowl.
Every time I was about to die from starvation and dehydration, someone give me a little morsel.
Yeah.
And so that was a huge deal playing the Viper Room and like getting to. If I had never played the Viper Room before and it was my music and I just stepped in and played my own music, I would have been like a mess.
Yeah.
I would have been so like overwhelmed and like just like nervous, and
It would have been too much too soon.
yeah, and I
And
mean,
that probably would have been more deflating.
right,
If you're like given this like
right,
too heavy of an opportunity, I haven't worked myself up. Ugh,
right.
and collapse on the bench and just
Yeah.
get choked out by the bar.
Right, yeah, it was like, yeah,
I mean, literally choked out by the bar because the man's like, you screwed me over.
by the actual bar, yeah. You were supposed to bring out all these people. You brought out 5 people.
Now you're getting choked out by the
Yeah.
bar.
Sometimes
the
you
side
eat the
of LA
bar,
they
and
don't show
sometimes
you in
the
the
bar eats you.
I was talking over to you.
That's okay.
So then you got this new experience. You,
Mm-hmm.
and then did you put together another band of your own after that, or when did you start
So-
like recording again? Because you've got
so-
new songs that we're going to be getting to soon
Yeah.
that are going to be that are released and available for
Yeah.
people. But I want to paint a little more of the story getting to there,
Yeah.
and then we'll talk about like the current state of what you got going on now.
Yeah, we're starting to get close. So then the next big thing was that my friends that I played in that band with, and my social circles and that music circles.
So you had kind of two different worlds. You had this band where
Yeah.
you're playing guitar, and then this new injection into a bigger scene of people
with
that
my
are more
friends.
serious about the music and
with
and,
Austin and with Flumen, yeah.
So it's almost like these two
Yeah.
worlds that you're now getting a bigger view of the LA.
Right. Well, there was like the world
sphere.
that I had found, and I had created my own personal social scene, and then plugging into his bigger, social scene. So it was like these were my guys that I had found, and my little, thing, and then this was
some ground up and some top down.
right. Exactly. So exactly, good point. It's a good way of looking at it. So they I met through one of my friends. She had moved into like a house with these two twins, and they had a studio on their property, and it was like this dope studio. It was like top of the line, everything. It was like really, really sweet. And so I started like going over and just like meeting them like at their parties and stuff, and like we got along really well, and they were like super musical and talented, and they had their own studio that they recorded people out of, and it was like this really cool house and whole situation. So I started just like going and hanging out with her and like them at that house, and one of the brothers was a drummer, so he, we asked him if he would want to do. We were trying to get this cover project going. We're like, oh, maybe we can get like a cover band, and then we can like open for ourselves, like if we can like headline at these venues as a cover band, and then our own personal projects can be like the openers for the cover band. Maybe that'd be like a good way to get in places and get a good crowd out.
That's what Bad Fish and Scotty don't. That's
Right,
how they
exactly.
do it. The Sublime cover band Bad Fish, they have their own project that opens up.
Which is great because people come out and listen to their original project and like they're good.
Right.
So we were like, maybe this would be like a good angle to play because we were all, I think when you are in LA and you're trying to play shows, you hit that wall of like, I don't want to just do pay to play all the time, because you realize it just doesn't work. Like first of all, I'm paying ahead of time for tickets that I now have to sell.
Yeah.
And then
It's kind of a sleazy racket.
it is. It is, and it doesn't work because then they don't care who you are, what you sound like. They're just like, can you bring out 20 people at 9 o'clock? Sweet, you're in.
I've always used the example with certain venues and places, like they don't care if you're lighting off M80s in a trash can.
Exactly.
If there's enough people there, you're good in their eyes.
And it's not even if there's enough people there with pay to play. It's just if you gave us the $200 ahead of time, you're in. It doesn't care if 0 people show up. And that's the problem, is that you get 5 different bands on the same bill that don't know each other, have nothing to do with each other, that might not even be stylistically the same or even like the same genre of music, all playing on the same bill. They're bringing out their 5 or 10 friends for their set, and then they're leaving.
Yeah.
And then you set up your stuff, and then you have your 5 or 10 friends walk in, and then you play your set, and then you leave. And it's just like there's no Like there's not everyone's bringing out a crowd to support the other bands. There's it's nothing about no scene. It's just like, all right, your turn. You know, and it's like it's
almost like your performance is the crowd members that you bring in, as opposed to your actual music.
Right. Like, so it's
who they bring out. Okay, maybe we'll have them back again.
Yeah, totally.
What are the numbers?
Right.
All right.
Exactly. Well, no, and that 100% is what it is. I mean, that's an age-old, problem with bands and artists and venues. It's just like, oh, they don't care what it is as long as you bring out a crowd.
Yeah.
And if you don't bring in anyone, then they're not gonna book you again. But so we started. You just have to like try to get creative of like, well, how can we get in and infiltrate these venues and these things and create a scene without having to go that route, because that clearly is like you're new to LA and there's bookers just taking advantage of you because you don't know any better and you want to play these prestigious venues.
Well, it's pretty crazy if you look at some of these stories in rock and roll. I'm thinking particularly of I watched a documentary of I believe Shep Gordon was his name, but he's a big music promoter, manager, this and that, and he got in early on with Alice Cooper. And he used to do these crazy things where he'd have people following Alice Cooper around in the streets with flash bulbs. There was no film in the camera.
Oh, right,
just flashing the flash at him like he's somebody.
Hype. Yeah.
Or he had hired some truck driver to tow this big sign of Alice Cooper with nothing but like a snake on it, make it break down in a Piccadilly Circus during rush hour just to create a huge scene. And this guy had no concept of like music management. He's just like, I need to create a big scene around this guy. Like Alice Cooper might not exist without this person doing these very bizarre,
hyping him up,
completely manufactured fake things.
Yeah.
He would call the cops on Alice Cooper's shows when he was the manager. Like, he's wearing nothing but a clear raincoat with nothing underneath it. And then like hang up and the cops would show up and it was like, there's no such thing as bad press.
I mean, that's genius.
But he did all these crazy things and it's like, we might not have Alice Cooper without him.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. This might be an unfavorable opinion, but I've never been blown away by anything I've heard from him. You know what I mean? It's like...
Well, how much Alice Cooper have you listened to?
That's true. That's actually a really good point.
Yeah, if you dig into some Alice Cooper, there's some cool stuff going on.
That's fair.
There.
That's not fair.
I'll just school you a little bit later on.
School's out.
You'll beat into it.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm sure that he has some not good songs, but I'm sure he has some great ones too that I haven't heard.
Yeah, and it is an influencer, and we wouldn't have a lot of people without Alice Cooper.
Fair. Yeah.
But anyway,
I retract my bash on Alice Cooper.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then
we were trying to figure out how to get into these venues, how to get into this pay-to-play scene, what to do.
Right,
break the code.
The main entrance is clearly not the way to go. Like we gotta find
a back window.
Or back door.
Oh. Backdoor Santa.
Merry Christmas.
Pay off the kids with pennies. Apparently,
first Christmas reference for our Christmas special.
Yeah, right.
Oh, Jesus.
Boom. Now don't talk about Jesus on his birthday that way.
Sorry, Jesus. I didn't mean to.
While we're on the Christmas thing, what is your least favorite Christmas song?
Oh, man. That's a good one. I feel like, what was the...
I've got two, if I may.
Yeah.
Number one is definitely that John Lennon one. Because why is Yoko Ono on there saying war is over? Like, what does that have to do with Christmas? This is Christmas. Right. And they're like, okay, can't stand that song. And I really hate the Beach Boys' Little Saint Nick.
I don't think I know that one.
I just don't like the Beach Boys in general.
Yeah.
But they're trying to make it like Santa Claus is like a hot rod driver. Like, instead of they had that song, The Little Old Lady from Pasadena who drove her Cadillac really fast. And it's like the little Saint Nick like driving his hot rod. Like, I don't know. It's just so corny. Every time it comes on, I want to stick candy canes in my ears.
Yeah, fair.
And die of sugar poisoning. Yeah.
See, I never liked that the We Three Kings song, but then you showed me like the jazzy version of it and changed my mind.
You mean I readapted it and sent you a recording of it?
Yeah. Well, it was you. But, I don't know. That one, I've never been a big fan of the Paul McCartney Simply Having a Wonderful Christmas Time.
Oh, yeah, that one's... Paul and John should battle up for the worst Christmas song.
And that weird synth noise that's like... It's like overlapping. It's like the delay is too much. It's like clashing with itself.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like they found some music...
Paul's always clashed with himself.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, we're not speaking too highly of the Beatles on this one.
Anyway.
No shocker there. But
you can take a sip. It's all right. You've picked it up twice.
I know. I'm faking it.
That's when you know it's a crutch.
Yeah. So
coffee is just so delicious.
just going to it for a pause.
Instead of saying that's like your visual version of
Right. Can't think for a second. Coffee. Coffee. So we started playing with that drummer that was living with my friend, and we started doing like these cover songs, and he was just like a phenomenal drummer. Like we're just blowing everyone away. He could just do technical, he could do simple, like, but he was just so good. Like this kid lived and breathed drums. And like he would just like when he wasn't playing drums, he had like little drum pads outside of the house that like while he was smoking cigarettes, he'd be standing outside drumming on the drum pads. Like, you know, it's just that's all I did all day long.
Yeah.
And so we started playing that with him, and it was just like apparent this dude was just crushing it. And after one of our like cover band rehearsals, I kind of approached him, and I was just like, in my head I was like, if this guy agrees to play with me, like that would be ridiculous. Like, you know, I can't imagine he would want to, but
yeah, in your wildest dreams,
right?
Like,
but that was kind
maybe he'd be
right.
But
that was kind of the case originally with Joe Luckybill. I was kind of like, I'm gonna ask this dude if he wants to play with me, but I'm not gonna expect a yes because he's way outside, like way out of my league, you know. So I approached him, and I was like, hey dude, like after one of these practices, like would you be down to like jam on some of my songs? And he was like, yeah, sure. And I was like, what? Okay. So we started, after we would end the cover band rehearsals, everyone would leave and then I would stay, and then me and him would start working my songs, and he was just like bringing in all this like awesome stuff to the songs, like helping me with the structures, adding different changes and things.
Being a real like partner in the project.
We were like, I had written the songs already, but then we kind of like almost rewrote them together, at least structurally, you know. Like he would just bring in so much cool stuff and it was awesome. He was the perfect fit because he loved heavy stuff, and he could play Metallica, which is not known for his drumming, but like metal bands, crazy complex. He could play Tool and all that kind of stuff. He could play, but he also loved like Dave Matthews, which is a lot of,
there's a connection.
It's a lot of complex drumming going on. So it's still like, for a technical drummer, it's still like a dream come true with Carter Beauford and Dave Matthews. But it was still like, this guy loves, like his spectrum of music that he loved was very similar to my spectrum of music.
He was into the drums, not into the genre, so he could transpose his love for the percussive instrument into a lot of things. Like, this is a cool finesse, subtle play. This is like just a bad, hard play, and
totally.
And he can appreciate the instrument for its versatility, not just like, I like to play this kind of music and that's it.
Which is hard with a lot of drummers. It's like once they start getting good, then they don't want to play simple stuff anymore. They're like, well, I'm good now. So like it's either Periphery or nothing, or Dream Theater or whatever. It's like they just like, they don't want to just do
I think that's any instrument player, you know, to an extent. You know, guitar players that are too, you know, a virtuoso at the instrument, and they just want to have a lot of leads all the time. You know, that was one of the.
It's always a struggle with good musicians.
Right, and even not good musicians.
Right. Yeah, true.
But with myself, I remember playing, you know, lead guitar out at places, open mics, and one of the best pieces of advice that somebody ever told me was play less.
Yeah.
And and instead of being like insulted by it, maybe, well, who the hell are you? I thought like, okay, this is somebody, and he was a person who was performing there. He wasn't just somebody from the crowd, but he was a person who was performing that night, and he obviously was an accomplished musician. I thought he was, you know, great that night, but for him to think of that and then come over to me and say that meant that like, probably a lot of other people were thinking that in the audience who didn't say anything. And he was probably doing me a favor by saying to me, hey man, I'm going to give you a little tip here, because a lot of people are thinking it's like, play less. Just play less. You know, another person, Joey V, who I played with, he said, hey man, the whole song's not a solo. Find your part. Find where you get to come in. Do your lead there, and then back off. And I'm like,
totally.
That is a really good advice for a guitar player, because as much as you want to play and stuff, it's like most people don't want to hear that most of the time.
How many songs do you want to hear? There's a solo happening the entire song over the music that's being played.
Never.
You know? And that's, you know, that will be my advice. I'm gonna do a Chris Daly point at the camera.
Do you need any more coffee, by the way?
I'm good for right now.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, that's like over, I mean, not that I'm the most experienced musician or anything, but like the whole concept of like, it's always a headache for especially the person who's like the songwriter, the person who's like leading and writing the music or whatever, like when you have to like constantly try to fight with the different other members of like, dude, just
Yeah.
like this, like play to the song. And that's what I always say. It's not even necessarily
Serve the song.
Serve the song. And that's always what I say. And that's how I usually premise my band practices and everything. I'm like, listen, I've asked you guys to play with me because I think you're incredible players or whatever. I was like, and I don't have any ego when it comes to this. And I hope that all of you will keep that in mind for yourselves also. Like, we can do whatever as long as it serves the song.
Yeah.
And like sometimes you might have to play, the bass player might just have to pluck a single note for half the song,
Right.
and it would be boring as hell, but that is what that song requires.
Yeah, like Van Halen running with the devil.
Right.
Bum,
Right.
Bum,
Right.
Bum, bum. And Michael Anthony can play the bass and sing
Totally.
a hell of a backup too, but
Totally.
he's like, this is how
Right.
this song needs to start.
Exactly.
Bum, bum.
Right. Yeah. And so there's great songs that might have simple parts in them.
Yeah.
And then there's other songs that are more complicated, and those will be more fun for you to dig your teeth into, which I understand too. But like I always say, and I'm like, this isn't about me. This isn't about you. This isn't about any of us. This is about the music.
Yeah.
So like you or I or what we want to do is not important. It's what will create the best outcome for the song.
Yeah.
And so like sometimes you'll shred, sometimes you won't at all. Sometimes, and if you need to show the world your virtuosity any chance you get because you need to like prove that you're great, like then like I don't know if I want to be playing with you.
Yeah, maybe
know?
maybe you're a good fit for something else, but
Right.
not for what you're trying to
But
do.
I feel like I feel like that is like the top end of almost amateur or like intermediate players, but like the very top level of like professional musicians who are like the best of the best, I think they know that stuff.
Yeah.
Those guys can be like, all right, I'll hang back on this one. All right, I'll step up on this one. Those dudes are not.
Yeah, they're playing the song. They're
Exactly.
not playing the instrument.
Right. There's dudes playing with John Mayer or playing with, any of the great, Eric Clapton or whoever you think is a great musician or artist, who has a backing band that might not always be the same guys,
Yeah.
who are the greatest. They're some of the top-notch musicians in the world. Sometimes those dudes are just hanging back, playing that one note
Yeah.
because that's the song.
Right.
It's not about you.
That's what it's supposed
And
to do.
and if you're in some, but of course, obviously, if you have a song where you guys are jamming, you have an opportunity to put a little moment in there, for, and everyone can do their thing. Put in some jams and solo parts.
Yeah.
So that everyone can have fun, and I mean they should get a chance to show off their chops a little bit.
Right. Use that as a spice.
Totally.
Like a little seasoning here and there.
Totally.
And throw it in when you can. And
Yeah.
and even on that, like this maybe is a personal preference, but like I don't like it when a band jams too often throughout the period of
Yeah.
the set. Because it's like it's cool when a band can do it,
Yeah.
and they can bring you along with like a build up and
Yeah.
a climax and then a drop down,
Yeah.
and they can take you through. But when 3, 4, 5, 6
Yeah.
songs do that same thing, you're like, okay, you're just doing 7-minute songs because you don't have much material,
Yeah.
or is it like this is? I get you can do that, but like, it's not fresh anymore.
No, what's funny is that happened at a concert I was at a few months back, and it was like the last band that I would expect to do something like that, and they were doing it like song after song, and I remember people saying afterwards, they were like, dude, like,
Can you name that band, or you don't?
Oh no, I will, but I was just setting it up first.
Oh.
But everyone was like, dude, like, could you like did they really need to like drag out the middle portion of every single song and turn it into like a breakdown where he's talking and then like this whole thing every song? And it was Foo Fighters.
Really?
It was like they were
just getting into that realm.
yeah, it was at Cal Jam, and they were like, they were the headliners at this huge rock music festival, and it was just like every song, like halfway through, all of a sudden it would drop down to like, and they would be like grooving on one line, and then he would start talking, and then he'd run over here and to get people to do stuff, and then they would, kind of like take turns messing around. And so
do you think he's got to try to be a motivational speaker after this?
yeah, for real.
Welcome to the Church of Grove.
I mean, he could do it.
Come on, everybody.
If anyone could do it, it would be him. But I remember like noticing that and being like, man, they're like, I mean, yeah, they're playing a 3-hour set, which is impressive as hell, and they're known for doing that.
But
now.
it could have been a really awesome hour and a half
Right,
set.
exactly. Yeah, and it was just like, again with this, you're breaking it down, it's like, it was funny. So yeah, I'm
It's like, I know you're never gonna quite live down the breakdown from Ooh, I forget the song now.
The
I was
Pretender?
I was leading into a joke and I completely just shot it down.
The Pretender.
No,
Monkey Wrench.
no. One baby, two. Another set
Drain You.
Drain You.
Yeah.
You're never gonna beat the
Right.
breakdown and Drain You when you're on drums. So stop trying.
Right. Yeah,
That is the best breakdown in
that's a good one.
in rock and
Breakdown
roll.
and build. Hell yeah. But so anyway, I guess
back to your
Yeah.
story. Enough
Yeah.
about
No,
the
it's
Church
okay.
of Grohl.
It's okay. We can have a little. I will always take a break to talk about Dave Grohl.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I know that I was saying that they did something that wasn't good in that segment, but Dave Grohl
Well, it's
is.
about time we did something that wasn't good.
Dave,
you know?
yeah, Dave Grohl is
Come
one of
on.
my heroes and one of my huge influence, and I love Foo Fighters, so I hold them to a very high standard. So
Yeah.
when they start
You
messing
weren't
around,
mad. You were just disappointed.
I was a little disappointed, and I was like, "Come on, Dave, you're the greatest, and you gotta come on, step up."
Yeah.
So, but I got
So
to
you heard it here first on the Next Stage podcast.
Yeah.
Dave Grohl, we're calling you out.
We're calling you
hard.
out, Dave
You
Grohl.
better step up.
The man who's never called out. The man who never does anything wrong. The golden Dave Grohl. Golden Dave Grohl.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, listen, he's not
Not to be
perfect.
confused with Diamond Dave Roth.
Oh man, but imagine if they did a show together.
They'll be in Vegas together soon enough.
Who's the greatest frontman competition?
Anyway, so you and Dave Grohl started a band
Yeah,
together
yeah.
in LA.
So
and-
yeah, I wish. So so me and him started playing my songs together, and then
you and Dave.
yeah.
No,
me,
you and who?
me and this drummer that lived
Yeah.
with my friend. We had been jamming together, and he was an amazing drummer. And we started playing the songs together, and I was like, "This is amazing." And then around that time, she was moving out, and I was trying to get out of my house. Lined up perfectly. I
Yeah.
could move into that house and live with him and his twin brother in their dope ass house with their dope studio. And they were like, "Yeah, well,
You can say their names. Who are they?
Joey." Oh, sorry. Yeah, of course.
You keep saying him and him like who?
So
Who?
yeah. So it's wow, I'm completely drawing a blank right now. I shouldn't. Oh, sorry, yeah, Danny and Joey Kirk. I don't know why that the moment I was like seeing his face in my head, and then I just had like that moment of like my mind completely escaped me for a moment.
Sorry, it came back to you.
Yeah, I came back.
You were still thinking of Dave Grohl.
Yeah, there was a lot of things that came in between that storyline. So yeah, Danny Kirk and Joey Kirk. So they're twin brothers, and they're both amazing musicians and producers, and they have an awesome studio in Van Nuys. If anyone wants their info. So yeah, so I was playing with him, and then I moved into their house, and we started recording my songs. And this was the first time where it was like, I felt like it was like, this is like a real full-on recording. Like we're going through every step of it, like professional with all the equipment, and like with, it was like the full.
That was
real,
the studio when I visited you. We went to.
Yeah.
They had a really nice setup
Great,
there.
yeah, and then they had like the control room with the glass window, and then the live room, and it was like as
Very
pro
legit.
as you can get. And I was just like, man, this is like the big times.
Yeah.
So we started recording like an EP, and we just the two of us. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I recorded all the guitars, all the vocals. He recorded all the drums. I wrote all like the bass parts in my room. On my computer, like I like had the like Logic on my computer, and I would write the bass parts and record them on my computer, and then I would bring them into the studio. And I had my friend Ideen, who I brought up earlier. He came in and he just listened. I mean, he's an incredible musician. So he would just like be like, all right, play this verse. And he'd like listen to it and be like, all right, cool. And then he would just
lay it down based on what you gave him as the blueprint.
But then like go a little on top of that and add
So you were
some
kind of
flair.
like, you were kind of composing it, but somebody else was like executing
Exactly.
it.
I composed the parts, and then he would take that and then just like as a great bass player could just like make it better, but he got the general idea of what I was going for. So we kind of just like pieced together this EP, and I was super proud of it. And then we put a band together. I put the songs out on like Craigslist, and looking for a bass player, and with my friend Kevin Dempsey, who has a band called The Patients, who are playing around LA right now. He answered. He was like, I think he was the first guy to answer, and he was like, I love your music. And he came in. He was super chill. He had learned all of the songs, but like his first time he came in, he like already had them all down. We just like ran them, and he like just had it all already like learned. Like we barely even had to like stop and like go over stuff.
Yeah.
And like he was just like was a cool guy, like good vibe, great bass player. And so we were like, all right, sweet. Like I guess I don't have to really look anymore because like this works. And we formed a band, and it was called So It Goes. And we put out the EP, and that was, I mean, it's still on Spotify and iTunes.
Was that 4 or 5 songs?
It was 4 songs.
4 songs?
We recorded...
Head Trauma was the name of the EP?
Yeah, the EP was called Head Trauma. We recorded 5 songs. We only put out 4 of them.
Mm-hmm. Now you got a B-side. You know?
Yeah, right. I know. I have to like search them down and get it for them though. I have like all this like different half-recorded, unfinished songs at like different people's computers around LA. So we recorded that, put out that EP, and that was like my first time releasing music on like major platforms.
Yeah.
So it was like, man, like I'm on Spotify, I'm on iTunes, like holy crap. You know, so that was a huge deal for me. And then we started, playing some shows, and that was like, now I'm playing some of these bigger venues or whatever, but it's like,
you can tell people here my music's available online. Yeah. You can check it out. It gives you more legitimacy. Makes you feel like
we had a band name. We had the album artwork, which my brother made, which was awesome. He's made 2 of my artwork for my songs or albums, and so yeah, it was like we were officially like an LA band, and we played at like Lucky Strike in Hollywood, which is like it's a bowling alley, but it's like a known live venue. They have like ultimate jam nights there where they have like famous musicians.
Is it one of those
over.
like bowling alleys that they do like the midnight like blacklight bowling?
Yeah,
and stuff,
it's like a big to do. It's not like your typical bowling alley. It's like a next level, but it has like this great stage with like great sound, and it's like a legit live music venue.
Yeah.
In the middle of Hollywood. And so like we played there, and we played in Silver Lake at the Lost Night, and we played like in Venice, and we played like we played Palladino's in the Valley, which is like a famous like old rock venue staple in the Valley. And yeah, we were having a great time, and it was like, felt like I was really doing it, and it was my music, and it was recorded, and it was out, and we had the band, and it was like, okay, like I'm doing the thing now, you know, and
doing it for real,
right? And so we did that for a few months. We probably were playing for like 6 months or so, and then just started to have, I don't want to get too much into the details.
Yeah, but we got to get to the current state of affairs here.
So that
we can't give the whole. Give us the Reader's Digest version.
That
here,
ended up
the podcast version.
That ended up not working out with different members and stuff. And then I kind of
bands fall apart. It happens for various reasons.
Yeah,
and it doesn't matter
but
why.
It was cool though, because like we almost got we got approached by like a smaller label who wanted to like sign us, and like that was exciting. Like meeting with them and talking about that. So it was like things were starting to be like, okay. I can use that as like a marker for my progression.
You made another advancement on your totem pole, which you still haven't told me which animal you'd be on. But we'll get to that at the end. Maybe we'll end with your revelation, your big reveal.
Well, it would be the lion because I'm a Leo.
There we go. I don't know. Depends how things go.
So
then that band didn't. It just kind of dissolved, and then you're left.
Then I was just like
by yourself again.
Well, and at that time I had my friend Austin and my friend Addison also. Shout out to Addison, who has music out on Spotify and all of that.
Under that name,
Addison. Yeah. His Instagram is OMG. It's Addison, and. So like they were 2 of my close friends, and I confided in them, and they were like listen man, they're like, this band stuff you're doing is really cool, and it sounds like a lot of the music that you listen to and like influenced by Incubus and Foo Fighters and all these bands that you love. They were like, but you have your own solo songs that you've been playing out at these other things, your acoustic stuff, your solo stuff, that like they were like, that's like sounds like you, that sounds like your personal, your soul, not like just a blend of the bands you love. That's like your own kind of thing. And they were like, you should be playing those songs. And so they kind of encouraged me to like, I started playing lots of acoustic solo shows, just like at like a few times a month.
Were you writing new songs other than the ones that you had recorded with the band?
Yeah, I pretty much stopped playing those. I don't think I play any of those songs anymore.
Yeah.
But I had all these songs I had been writing the whole time I'd been in LA. Since like the first month that I had lived in LA, I had been writing all these other songs all along that didn't really quite fit with like the heavy rock thing we were doing with the band, and that people loved. And so I was like, started just playing all those songs I started playing just acoustic shows all over the place all the time as much as I could, at different venues all over LA. And then that's like when I started really kind of like developing like my voice a lot more and my performance. And I started kind of just coming into my own as like a songwriter, as a performer, as a singer. Still don't think I'm a great guitar player, but I just, that's when I really kind of like, this is me as an artist.
Yeah.
And that's when I kind of solidified that part. And decided to just move forward as a solo artist.
Right.
And so that, that was like, been like the last, like, I guess 2 years has just been me doing that.
And what was what move forward as a solo artist? Like, obviously it's not just you and an acoustic guitar.
No.
Like where did you start recording?
So I was just playing just me and an acoustic guitar for my shows and stuff. And then I was like, you know what? I can play a million shows until I'm blue in the face. But if no one can hear my music outside of that, they can't come to the shows and sing along. They're not going to know the stuff. It's always just some guy playing. And my good friends who come out all the time will start to learn the songs over time. Yeah. But it's like hard to establish. You're gonna like establish a fan base anywhere besides right where you are.
Your friends will be supportive, but it's kind of hard to impress them. It's like, well, they know you.
Well, they're not going to come to, they can only come out to so many shows for so long.
Right.
Even like if Foo Fighters were playing a show every week at some venue in LA for a year, people would stop coming.
Yeah, you wouldn't go every night.
Right. So like, you can't like saturate.
Like, Dave, I've heard all your stories, man.
Right. You'd be like, tonight I got something else going on.
Right.
I've already seen them 300 times this year. But, so yeah, I was like, I really need to like record again. I want to have some stuff out there that people can, listen to in their cars and on their own time, and hopefully reach people that don't even live here or are in LA.
But yeah, the music can travel further and extremely cheaper than you ever could.
Exactly.
Almost for free it can travel if you think about it that way.
Yeah. So I was like, I need to get back in the studio again and record. I've improved as a singer. I've improved in a lot of ways that I want to capture where I'm at now. Mm-hmm. And I was just kind of like, I don't know who to record with. I have some friends, but I don't know who the right person would be. And I've worked with just a few different friends, and it's kind of like, well, like they didn't really work out for different reasons or whatever. Finding a producer is like finding the right bandmate. Like it just same thing. It has to click. And I had this one song that I was like, I know people love. Like I have a song Anna Lynn that's out that everyone that's like the pop.
Before we get there, I want you to share your Keith Sutherland story.
Oh my God.
Wasn't there something about him drunk telling you that pretend like some open mic you're playing or whatever it was? This is a good one though. So, this is one of these LA nuggets.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, and I feel like he is an LA, like that's a guy that pops up all over the place in LA that people see drunk at bars.
Because I only brought it up because I know that like through him you met somebody who was interested in producing or whatever. So this is like a funny.
Yeah.
You got to tell the Keith Sutherland. I'm a Keith the Sutherland.
I was playing at this restaurant like every week, every Thursday for like 3 years, and I would just play like 3 hours worth of just covers and stuff, and I would slip my own songs in there and stuff too, and try out new stuff. But one of the nights I was playing, I got there to set up, and like there was like this big communal table kind of near the bar, and I was like setting up my stuff, and then like I saw him like kind of walking around or something, and I like turned to like I went to the bartender. I'm like, is that Keith Sutherland? And she's like, oh yeah, like he's hanging out drinking with his friend, and they're hanging out like they're gonna be watching you, and like I was like, oh shit, and I set up all my equipment, and then I went outside and like I went outside to like move my car or something, and he was standing out there and was just like, hey, what's going on, man? Like, are you playing? And I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna start in a little bit. He's like, oh cool, man, like I'm looking forward to hearing it. And I think he like bummed a cigarette from me or something. and then
those are expensive out in LA too, He should have been giving you one.
Right, I know.
You're the struggling musician. I'm this movie star, celebrity.
Yeah, I don't know why, but he was so he was hanging out with his friend and like another woman, and they were just like hanging out at like the communal table, and like they were getting rowdy, and like they were drinking and just like having a good old time. And this was not like a rowdy place. This was like a kind of nicer
bistro sort of.
Yeah, a little more upscale. A lot of like dates and just not
dates and plums and prunes.
Right, exactly. Yeah, kind of hits me on
sugar
the head.
dates and pistachios.
So it was
Aladdin.
like, well, you can. So so they were like just getting drunk, getting rowdy, and I was playing my songs, and they were watching, and they would like clap, and they were like having a good, but then they started like branching out and like wandering around the room and like just going over to random tables and just like talking to the people at the tables and just like it was a whole spectacle.
Out,
it was like a whole scene because like everyone knew that he was there and like who he was. So it was just like
let me find out how famous I really am. Who's gonna complain?
Totally, and just going to different tables and talking to them and goofing around, and then they started like. They started playing Truth or Dare like while they were at the table, and they were like started doing like wacky stuff. They were daring each other to do stuff, and like so at one point like the woman they were with came over and was like, she was like, I'm like in the middle of like playing or maybe in between songs, she was like, hey, so like kind of like giving me a disclaimer as she was approaching me. It was like, hey, so I just got dared to kiss you on the neck, so I have to do that right now, and then just like kiss me on the neck, and then I was like, you guys expect me to keep playing after that? We were just trying to joke. And then his friend came up to me and was like, hey, so I got dared. They want me to play a song. Like, I'm a singer-songwriter. And, like, do you mind?
Yeah, he didn't get dared. He just came up to you and was like, hey, so by the way, they dared me to do this.
Yeah, I didn't want to.
I didn't want to go up on your set, man. But,
brought my own pick.
Don't want to be a party pooper.
Yeah. So he borrowed my guitar, and I was like, yeah, of course, man. Like, play a few songs if you want. And was like a great singer-songwriter, and I was just I gave it to him, and then I'm standing back and then like watching, and then like Kiefer came over and was talking, and he's like, no, dude, this guy's like the greatest singer-songwriter ever, like you don't even know who he is. He's like, talking him up, and then like and I didn't know who he was, and then like that was pretty much the extent of it. Like then he gave me my guitar back. I played a couple more songs, but he was, they were being like super nice to me, and were like, dude, great job, like you sound awesome, like and then like later, obviously, I went home and like Googled the guy and like looked up his music and stuff, and he was like a singer songwriter from like the like late '80s, early '90s, and he was someone that like I would see then after that I would see him every once in a while, like at the restaurant. He would come in with his girlfriend and have dinner. And
wasn't he like in some way interested in like maybe trying to produce you or whatever? Well, and it wasn't the same.
Well, him and Kiefer Sutherland have a label. They have a label together. I think it's called Ironworks.
I'll have to look that up later.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
it's easy to find if you Google.
Yeah, so
Kiefer Sutherland can't have too many record labels.
For sure. So the two of them have a label together, and so I like looked at, I researched all this stuff after I had met them, and then like he was coming in and would talk to me about music and stuff and told me about their label, and so I sent him the So It Goes EP, I don't even know if we had put it out at that point, and I would just kind of like ask him kind of, music advice and just whatever he could tell me. I wasn't expecting him to do anything, but I was just like, at least a guy to talk to who has some experience in the music world.
Yeah, and even that encouragement and that acknowledgement is like a great, a boost to say like, okay, somebody's at least interested enough to like talk to me who doesn't need to. Yeah. It's not like everyone in open mic says, oh, good job, just everyone else. But so you were, fast forward again, you were looking for someone to do producing for your solo stuff, and so you had already gotten a certain amount of like signs that you were progressing along the right path out there, and then getting into focusing on solo stuff because it's too hard to keep a band together with all these different people and things fall apart, and it's just too much work, and then you're looking for someone to get your ideas down the way you wanted to.
Yeah, well, and I was always like writing all the stuff and kind of composing all the songs for the most part anyway, so it wasn't like I had people that I was like relying on to add the other parts of the songs that were writing with me, I mean, not to discredit Danny at all, because he brought a lot into my songs and like helped shape them and make them bigger and better than they were. Yeah. So he definitely was more like, he helped writing in that sense. But for the most part, like, you know, I was writing everything, and in my head when I write stuff, I'm usually hearing the full production in my head of like the other instruments and what they're all doing and the way the song is gonna go. So it was like I could do a band thing, but it's like almost easier for me to just like do it myself, and then I can bring in different people to play with me when I need to do shows and stuff.
Yeah.
And I would love to have, you know, semi-permanent band members just so that I don't have to keep finding people and having them learn my stuff.
Right.
But so yeah, I had this song that I just personally really liked, and we actually played with the band, but we never recorded. And I was like, I just really want to record this song. And I was like, who would be the right person to do this? And I knew this guy, Tom Chandler, through a bunch of my music friends, and like, he was just like the dude that everybody knew, and like most of my like rock friends had worked with at some point or another. All their bands, he recorded them all at some point. He would come out to shows. It was just like he was like
somewhere in the mix.
But he was like the guy. He was like the producer that everyone worked with, everyone knew. You know, he was like the homie. You know, he was like, so, and I never worked with him, and I knew him like kind of, but not really. You know, but I had his number, and I would see him out, and we talk and bullshit like a little bit here and there. But so he I just like reached out to him, and I was like, hey man, I'm thinking about doing a song. It's like acoustic based, kind of like bluesy, but it's also like rock, and it has some heavy stuff in it too. And I was like, I just think you'd be like the perfect fit. Yeah. Because me and him had talked, and he same thing. He loves like Counting Crows and Dave Matthews and that kind of stuff, but then he also loves like Slayer and like the heaviest doom death metal ever. Right. So it's like this guy has a very broad palette. And so I need someone like that, because this song is gonna be acoustic based, but it needs to like bring the thunder, you know? And so it was one of those things where we got into the studio, and like it was like the perfect collaboration. Like it was like he was right on board with what I was trying to do. Like all of our ideas were just like we and him were going back and forth, and it was just like it all came together. It was like one of those, you know, collaboration moments you hear about people talking about. It just
worked, right?
Yeah, it just
Which
worked.
song was this? So
it was Sinner.
Sinner, okay, and that's available now.
Which is out on
the platforms,
on Spotify and iTunes and all of that. But
and that started your journey with this producer, and then you went on to do a few more tunes with him, right?
So we recorded.
So Sinner, you're putting this song together. It's just like, this is clicking. Yeah. This is what I'm looking for.
And it totally
pieces falling into place.
And it was just like I was so happy. And as you know, we didn't, just the two of us did everything, and we recorded the whole song like recorded, mixed, mastered, everything in like 3 days. Mm-hmm. So we just like cranked it out, but we were just on the same page and like did all these cool production things, and it was just like super super fun. And then when we finished it and he like sent it to me and I listened to it back for the first time, I was just like, whoa,
I made
like
this.
I can't believe it. Yeah, I was like, what? Like it was like I definitely felt like I was so proud of it, and I was like, man, like I feel like I did something really cool here, and like not to like pat myself on the back or anything like that, but like I'm so proud of this. Like I'm happy with this, and like I think it's good. Just me. I don't know if anyone else will think it's good. I'm just pumped about it. Like I'm happy that
personal victory. Like, totally. Okay, this is something I can say I feel good about.
Totally. Yeah, I was proud of it. I was excited to show it to people, you know, and I thought that other people would like it too. And I put it out last year in February, and like I've gotten a great response from everyone so far, you know. And it's it gets pretty heavy, and I have a lot of friends that like rock. So, but generally, it's just gotten I've gotten great feedback about it.
Yeah, it's an awesome tune. Your voice sounds killer on it.
Thanks, man.
By the way. And then so then you kept working with him.
Yeah. So me and him, we did in the last year. Has it been a year? Yeah, I guess it has. We did 3 more songs. Mm-hmm. And I put out the other one, Anna Lynn, I think in the summer maybe. I put that out and then there's 2 more, and then we just finished one a couple months ago. So we did 4 total. 2 of them are out on Spotify right now, and then
under what name are they under?
My artist name is Jakey Heartbreak. So that's
everything's under that.
Yeah,
out on Spotify,
it was originally under Jake Long. I just changed all of my website is jakeyheartbreak.com. those songs will be released under Jakey Heartbreak, and my Instagram is Jakey Heartbreak.
Yeah. So people can get in touch with you now.
Yeah. So that's, I guess if you're listening and want to find it, that's where you can find it. So we're putting out the 4 songs I did with him. I'm putting out as an EP the first Friday of January.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so that will be the 4 songs me and him did together. And then, I'm putting out another single in February, which I did with my friend Austin that I've been talking about this whole time. Him and
full circle.
Him and my friend Ron. Yeah, he's the whole time I've known him, he was always like, "Man, I really want to produce a song with you. Like, you got to let me get on one of your songs." And he's just like always saying it. And so finally I was like, "Okay, like come to our next show." And my friend Ron is a producer, Ron Geffen. Shout out to Ron Geffen, who he just moved into town from New York like recently, a few months ago, and he was like, really wanted to produce a song for me. So the two of them they were bandmates. They've been good friends, like best friends for a long time.
Yeah.
I was like, come to my next show and pick the song that you like the best that you want to record.
Which song did they pick?
And they picked Heartbreaker.
Okay.
So
that'll be the next, another single.
That'll be a single coming out in February. Yeah,
on its own, and under Jakey Heartbreak, you're gonna do. I didn't know if it was a collaboration.
No, it was
because it's your song.
It was more. Yeah, I wrote the song. It was definitely more of a collaboration on the production end.
Yeah.
They brought a totally like kind of a more modern vibe to it, and like it sounds more like a, the stuff I did with Tom it's more like a natural organic band,
rock band, typical for the most part.
Drums,
arrangement,
bass, guitar, vocals, a little bit extra.
So you're spreading yourself in different areas, not being pigeonholed by one style.
Totally, which is a big thing for me.
Yeah,
is I've never wanted to be pigeonholed into one style or sound, and I love heavy, I love metal, I love John Mayer, I love the 1975. I don't have any one particular genre or style that I want to like define me, because I have all different ways of expressing myself that I like. And
so, what's the what do you see in the future for Jakey Heartbreak? What do you hope is the next stage?
The next
stage. For you in this also, you got some really good tracks you made with a producer that you're happy with, and then the one that you collaborate with Austin, you're like, okay, this music's getting released. You got the new name going on, and like what is your next few months that you hope to do with this music that comes out?
So the next thing I'm gonna be doing is I'm gonna be booking shows. I got a band together that's gonna play with me, and like a great band like this. So I'm really pumped about that, because these guys are awesome. And do
you think it helped having recorded music to show them first?
Yeah, totally.
As opposed to in the past when you're just going on Craigslist.
Oh yeah, for sure. Having that established, having already played venues, and having a little bit of like, I know I can get us into places and that kind of stuff. It helps with all of that. They're like great musicians, and we're gonna be trying to play, like I'm gonna try to just pick and choose some venues that I love, and just try to like put together, just play the best show I can possibly play. I want to take it next.
And are these some venues that you had played with other bands in the past, or you're kind of
I definitely want to do
your ideal would be, because you were saying about how you got to get into some places as a guitar player in a different band that made you kind of get that inside experience and see which ones you'd want to play again.
Totally. Or... No, I mean I'm gonna play, I think, my first big show like as Jakey Heartbreak with these songs out and all that. I'm in the process of booking in the Viper Room, so like I love that venue, and
it's been one of your goals. So
totally.
It's like this is like the real goal coming true. If you aren't just playing in a guitar in another band, if you can actually front it yourself.
Totally, and I'm not gonna play a guitar on every song. I'm gonna just sing on some of the songs, which will be a blast, because I can get out into the crowd and have fun.
We won't give away all your secrets here, man. People gotta come and see you.
Yeah, of course.
So we went through a lot of stuff here with your progress from the bra on the guitar the talent show to now looking into booking the Viper Room. And it's like, wow, this is a huge scope that you went through.
Yeah.
And stuff that you accomplished. Like, what would you like tell anybody who's maybe starting out or in the earlier stages of music, and if they're getting discouraged or don't know what to do? Like, what do you think you've learned in your personal journey that might be a little tidbit of advice to somebody.
I mean,
who wants to do this too.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I think about that sometimes and like what I would say to if someone ever asked me for advice.
I'm asking you.
Yeah, but like I always think, I'm like, man, I always like so many cliche things come up, you know?
Yeah.
But one thing that I have noticed, and it's really hard to digest until you have to kind of make the decision for yourself or kind of come to that conclusion. Like when I was doing this, I took a lot of advice from a lot of different people, and I would kind of go in the direction that maybe people that I thought were more knowledgeable would direct me and try. And it led me to trying and doing a lot of different things that didn't necessarily work.
Yeah.
And like when I finally took the bull by the horns and took matters in my own hand and just said, screw everybody, I'm just doing what I want to do. That's when like the best stuff has come out. That's when Sinner happened. That was like, I was like, I'm going to work with a producer that I choose and do it the way that I want to do it and the way that I hear it in my head. And then when it came to fruition, I was like, this is the best thing I've done. And it's gotten the most reaction.
Yeah.
So I think that's definitely a big thing is...
But do you think you had to work your way through some dead ends before that could have been possible?
Yeah, I mean, I had to...
Like, if you came straight to Ellie's like, I'm taking the bull by the horns, like, what bull? What are you taking?
Right. Yeah, I mean, it could be, and that's...
You gotta get your horns first, man.
Right, but I think there's something to be said for sticking true to yourself, your own vision, your own... everyone has their own specific voice, and the whole thing of like not comparing yourself to other people, like I'm never gonna play as good of guitar as John Mayer, or I'm not, like, at least not expecting to. You know, there's always gonna be a better musician, there's always going to be a better singer, there's always going to be other people that are doing these amazing things that you can't, like, how can I ever compete with that? You know, I listen to 1975 albums and I'm like, this production, the stuff they're doing, this is like crazy, like I could never do that, you know. But it's like, but I'm not him, I'm not that guy, and you're not. Then anyone who's starting off in music or whatever, it's like you can use those people who are better than you or the bands you look up to as like things to aspire to get better, to mimic until you find your own sound. But honestly, like, you're the only person. You're the only you. Yeah. You know, and people don't want to see the next Jim Morrison. No one wants to see the next Dave Matthews. Those guys already did it, and they already did it the best that anyone's gonna do it because it was them. So like, you have to be the best you can possibly be, and bring something that, because you are unique. You know, you're as unique as your fingerprint. And so that's going to, when you are fully embracing that and fully expressing that, no one else can do it like you can. Yeah. And that's what's going to be valuable about what you're doing, is because, you know,
you're the only source for it.
You're the only,
you create scarcity.
Exactly. You're the only competition for you, because So I think that's like a huge thing, is just, it takes a while to find your own voice and to find your sound, and I don't even know if
it took us almost what are we at? 2 hours to talk about it.
Damn, were we at 2 hours?
Yeah, we were 2 hours. But to tell your story in a pretty condensed version, as much as you could. I mean, we're kind of keeping it going. But that's so many ins and outs for you to get to that point of like, being you and being yourself is the best thing. Like, there's a lot of years of wisdom gaining that has come through.
And it took a lot of winding through so many different scenarios and other situations and trial and error before I finally came full circle back to like, no, I just got to do my thing. Yeah. And I think it took a long time, and I'm not even still, like, I can't even say I know what my sound is. I just, you know, that can still shift and change. And I think
something must have clicked into place where, okay, I feel confident to push in this way, you know, a certain amount of development, like a metamorphosis, whatever you want to call it, begun. And it's always going to be a discovery from there on. But you came to almost like a critical point that, like,
clicked.
And then now you get to really explore the future of your artistic development.
100%. And that's what it took me a long time of mimicking other artists and stuff. Trying to sing like Chris Cornell, trying to sing like Brandon Boyd, trying to sing like Jeff Buckley, all these different people.
I was going to ask you some of your favorites, but you did it for me.
Well, as far as singers, those are up there.
But you've always been primarily more of a vocalist than a guitar player anyway. Like you weren't trying to learn, Jimmy Page or Van Halen licks or anything. No. It was just, you were trying to do what you could do so you can sing over it.
I just wanted to get to writing songs, playing songs as fast as possible.
So songwriters and singers have always been your rock stars.
Yeah, absolutely. And but I took a lot of, just singing their songs, learning their songs, trying to emulate their voices, and never quite nailing any one of them, which they end up blending together and into what becomes your own voice, with a little touch of your own sauce. And that took a while. It took a while to find out. So now when I sing songs, I can sing covers or whatever, but it's just my voice. I know I just sound like
your own voice.
I sound like me now. And same thing with writing and all of that, and it's what's crazy is that now my writing has become like more diverse than it ever was, because it's like I took all of those things in and tried doing a bunch of different things and different sounds and styles, and then now whatever's coming out of me is just whatever comes out. But it's like I'm surprising myself with like, oh, I never thought I would write a song that's in this style before. It's like they're all I just had a quick thought. The other thing that I would say is everything also changed for me. A really, really important major change was when singing and writing became a means of like escape and expression and like therapy. So like I would always sing and had fun singing, but then when I started needing to sing, when I discovered singing from my diaphragm, where it was like I realized that singing, and when you're crying really hard and your abs are hurting because you're crying so hard, or if you're throwing up and your that gut wrenching, singing from that place is like I started singing from that place one day, and I started feeling all these emotions bubbling up inside of me, and I felt like I want to start crying, and I was like, what's happening to me? And I was like, oh, okay, this is where I should be singing from. Like this is the
deep
emotional center. That
I don't know if I'm ready to drill down for that.
Totally. That was a major turning point for my voice and for singing. And then same thing with writing. Initially, writing was just like, I want to write a song. So like, how do songs go? And here's some, and then when it started being like things were happening in my life, that all of a sudden I started releasing my emotions and really like writing about what I was experiencing and feeling, and that like
you were kind of like mining yourself as opposed to mining these external things, just like a
influences
false,
or other bands or whatever,
idol or whatever. Then all of a sudden you're like, wait, I've got a lot.
There's a lot of stuff to treasure. But that was a huge thing too. And so
you're basically just like puking into the microphone at this point.
Absolutely. No, totally. And that's what it is. It's an emotional purging, and that's how I process complex, heavy emotions now. And it's like I don't write and sing because I want to. I write and sing because like I have to. It's like that's some people go, which I exercise too, but some people go to the gym and go for a run or whatever because that's their way of getting the stuff out and processing. And I'm blessed to have something that works for me, that is a release, that I can go through an extremely hard, difficult situation, and then it comes out in the form of music.
Have that outlet.
Right. And then maybe someone else will be inspired by that. Maybe it can help someone, in some way or whatever. But it's like, it gets...
If you could have your music do one thing for the future, or say like, whatever level of success or goals you may or may not achieve, like put those concepts aside, but like what would be left of your music when you're gone? What would you want that music to be or do for people? Or what would you how would you want it to exist if you could choose?
Right.
Forgetting about like, I want to win this award to get a bunch of money. Like, what would you want your music that you leave behind to be?
I guess, I know it's a common answer, but I would want people to know that someone else experienced those places inside their own mind and in their emotions and in their psyche, whatever, like that someone else has been there before. And that's what it's I want to do what other music has done for me, which is one of my favorite bands, my favorite artists. That was like the only people that understood me sometimes, and I felt comfort and like someone understood me. And that helped me feel like not alone or in my struggles, in terms of your experience of life. And I would want to do that for someone else. And I mean, the ultimate dream too would be to obviously inspire other people to play music and be an influence on other people down the road or something like that. But the big thing is definitely like I wanted to be a psychotherapist before I got into music, and I want to help people. And so if like some songs are fun and they're just songs,
well, maybe in that way it's helping somebody have fun,
right? Totally.
And
some songs are extremely personal and extremely emotional, and I feel like I am blessed to have the desire to want to go there, because you got to dig into some deep crevices and deep places and scary places and be willing to go to those emotional places that scare a lot of people or they don't feel comfortable doing. So it's like, but I have a fierce desire to do that. And then if I can report, my findings and share it and be like, look, I know that like no one else wants to climb into that cave, but like I'll go do it, and then I'll show you guys what I found, so you don't have to do it, or it'll help you not be afraid to do it.
Right.
So that's definitely like that's my hope, is just to I guess ultimately to help people.
Well, it's like one of the best answers for art in general. Like how could you possibly want to do anything more than help understand the human condition?
Right.
Because it's excellent.
It's crazy and complex and confusing and scary out there, and it's like any little bit of information you can get that makes you just like feel a little bit better. And especially nowadays, everyone feels so isolated all the time, and social media and all this stuff, and it's like everyone's projecting their best possible self and they're hiding their worst possible selves from the public and from everyone else. So everyone sees this false image of somebody, and they then think, oh, well, why I'm not like that all the time. Like, this person living this awesome, cool life, and they're going these cool places and having an amazing time all the time, and like my life's not like that. Like,
what am I
a loser? Am I doing something wrong? Like, you know what I mean? It's so easy to start feeling bad about yourself. And I feel like, we're in crazy times right now. And it's the political landscape and the environmental landscape and just the world as a whole. And with all this crazy with the internet and social media, it's like, it's a scary confusing place. And you don't hear it.
Spoiler alert, your new song might have something to do with that. We won't tell you what it's called, but Jakey Heartbreak's got a new one coming out that may wrap some of these things together.
I can say the name of it because it's called Shit Show, and it encapsulates a lot of things that I feel about what's going on in the world. But there are people that are talking about these things, but I don't think there's enough of them.
Yeah.
And I feel like everyone wants to just, be that Instagram model or, the Playboy or whatever, and show how awesome they are all the time. And no one is willing to be like, dude, sometimes life is scary and messed up. And like, I want to talk about that.
Yeah.
Because no one else is talking about it. And mental health also is a massive thing right now that's not being addressed enough, and supported enough to, so the more that can be brought to the forefront of conversation, the more that people can read things about it or hear songs about it or whatever, I think the better, so that it can so that people can talk about it. It's like, listen, I don't know how to say this, but listen to this song and this is kind of how I feel. You know what I mean? Like,
we can be vulnerable to a lot of people,
right?
Through a recorded, piece of music that's just digging into yourself.
Yeah. So,
man, this is
so make the world a better place.
Yeah, good way to leave it on. This has been an awesome conversation.
Yeah.
We got your story. We got what's going on next, and more about what you choose, trying to do with music. It won't be your last time on.
No, I can't wait to come back again.
This is the first West Coast guest we've had here on Next Stage podcast.
And thank you to everyone who is actually sticking around listening to the full podcast. I know we went on for a while.
If you're here, you're one of true Brits.
We commend you.
So, any final remarks you want to make? You kind of said a whole bunch here.
Yeah.
At the end, I think you tied up most of the loose ends.
Totally.
Of where all of this journey was leading to, and
Yeah.
where it's kind of going in the future. But
Absolutely. I would say I just kind of want to throw you a shout out by saying that I think that this is an awesome thing that you're doing. I've listened to and watched all of the podcasts so far, and I love them. And I can't wait to watch like the network of people grow and the artists that you have on here and like watch this whole thing flourish. I think you guys are doing something like really cool and special, and I'm definitely honored to be a part of it. And Merry Christmas and Happy
Merry
Hanukkah
Christmas,
and
everyone.
Happy holidays to everybody listening.
Listen
Because
in, yeah.
it's Christmas Day right now.
Yes, it is still.
And it was awesome to be here.
Well, thanks for flying all the way from LA just for
Just
this.
for the podcast.
We appreciate you making here. One day we might be able to, get you a private jet to get out here.
Yeah.
But until that day comes,
That will be my next stage.
that will be your next stage. Yes, and we will end it. Oh, you can end it.
Yes.
You can end it there. And we're done. Love you guys. Thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in. And we'll meet again. You'll hear us again, whatever it may be.